and every story can change the world. Together we are Global Speakers Talk.
Hello, beautiful souls and global change makers. A very warm welcome to each of you joining us from across the world. So, that's one of the good things about this virtual setup. Wherever you are in the world, you can simply just join us and listen in. No matter what you're doing right now, you can just chime in and have a good moment with us. My name is Pau, and I will be your host for today. It's absolutely my honor to open today's session of the third annual International Live Conference hosted by Global Speakers Talk. Global Speakers Talk, founded in 2021 by Anshu Tiwari, began as a simple dream. So it's a dream to create a safe, powerful, heart led space, for voices that were typically unheard or unseen. It's sometimes very challenging to get our messages across, right? Especially in such a competitive space, in such a in a space where everyone is like vying for attention. Today, that dream has grown into a global family where speakers, leaders, coaches, and visionaries come together not only to speak, but also to uplift, inspire, and of course, empower one another. This community is truly special because it holds a blend of beautiful voices. So, as I mentioned earlier, we're live globally, we're live online, and anyone from all over the world, if you guys are awake, you guys are tuning in just now, it's also a space for you. It holds a beautiful blend of voices from professional keynote speakers, emerging new speakers, experienced leaders, and basically any other passionate individuals sharing their life stories. Here at GST, every voice matters and every journey is honored. We celebrate both seasoned professionals and those who are just taking their very first step because this stage believes in giving equal opportunities, equal respects, and of course, equal visibility. So if you don't have any background on speaking, that's totally fine. If you simply want to share your life story and just tell us about everything that you've gone through, every lesson that you've learned in life, this space is also for you. We are deeply grateful for all the souls who have supported and shaped this community from the early days of Global Speakers Talk up until this point. Each of you carries a story of dedication, love, and unwavering support. Global Speakers Talk stands so strong up until this point because you stand along with us. And if you feel connected to this mission and you want to get involved, all you have to do is simply drop a message on the chat so that we can check it out and see how we can make things work and make your story heard in the next future events. This community grows because people like you, those who are tuning in right now, those who are probably tuning in at a later time, choose to grow with us. For this morning's session, I personally think that it's a topic that each and every one of us can relate to, regardless of whichever stage you are in life. Why? Because honestly, it's the current reality, you know? Let me ask you, whether you're watching this live or down the line, I hope you can just like probably answer in your heads if you're watching the recording of this session. Where are you watching this session right now? On your phones, on your tablets, on your laptops, on your PCs? Yeah, in this day and age, it's really the day and age of screens and constant connectivity. Sure, it made the world much smaller. Like as I mentioned earlier, we're live online, and wherever you are in the world and you're seeing this, you can simply tune in. It bridged people and brought many great things to fruition. Global Speakers Talk is one of it, right? Like this constant connectivity, this is one of its effects. But at the same time, unfortunately, it also blurred certain boundaries. It kind of like redefined what it means to take a break. So here's another quick question. Please feel free if you guys are joining in live right now, feel free to just answer on the chat or just answer on your own self. Who here would instinctively reach for their phones the moment they have like 5 minutes of break time in between tasks? I'm totally guilty of that. Just a few minutes before the session started, I was on my phone. I was checking just a few more messages, you know? Maybe I left some people unread and I have like 2 minutes. I see my time, it's currently 10 p.m. where I'm at. I see my clock, it says 9:58. And I'm like, I have 2 minutes, let me go check real quick. Like we're all guilty of this. So I'm pretty sure you guys can relate to that. Or another version of it is who here would typically say, okay, I'll just browse for 5 minutes. I'll just hold my phone, do a quick, social media run. What's going on? What's going on over the next couple of minutes. And then the next thing you know, a full hour has passed, right? Sometimes not even an hour. Sometimes the next thing you know, it's like 3 whole hours have passed. The entire afternoon has blown away. The next thing you know, you just ate lunch and just taking a bit of a break. Then the next thing you know, the sun is already setting. Unfortunately, like that happens to the best of us, right? I get it. We've tried browsing for tips and tricks on how to really unplug in this digital age. We've sworn so many times that we will prioritize mental health, but somehow we just keep on falling back to old habits. And though we might not be fully aware of it, being chronically online can definitely affect our mental health in one way or another. I mean, let's face it, we're constantly bombarded with information, even if it's just a simple 15-second video, right? It's still a form of information. You're probably seeing this on your newsfeed right now, and you hear like a few sentences from me. That's already information that's going through your head. And sometimes it might even give you an existential crisis, right? You'd be like, wait a minute, that sounds like me. I do something like that. So in the split seconds, a couple of seconds of just hearing a person talk online, the next thing you know, you're spiraling into so many thoughts. And that's the reality of this day and age. But honestly, like, don't let me yap on and on and on about that. I am just a host for today's segment. Let's hear it instead from our dear speakers for today in this session called Mental Health in the Digital Age. Starting with our first speaker for today, he is a passionate Christian mental health coach with over 25 years of leadership experience. He specializes in helping men heal from grief, reconnect with purpose, and rebuild their faith. Through his program, I Don't Talk About It, But I Need to, he creates a safe space for men to open up, grow spiritually, and find strength in God's grace. He is committed to real talk, real healing, and real transformation. Everyone, let's give our fullest attention and love to Coach Craig Washington.
Good morning, everyone. Glad to be a part of this Global Speakers Talk today. The theme is we are talking about the mental health in this digital age. I don't talk about it, but I need to. The first thing I want to talk about is silence keeps you stuck, but speaking sets you free. How many of you, I want you to ask yourself this question, how many of you are silent? How many of you don't open up about things? How many of you don't move forward? How many of you are not letting your voice be known? Because in this digital age, we hide behind our posts and highlights, and we hide our real hurt. We have silence becomes a prison. Many of us are scrolling daily while silently but still hurting. We don't like to share things. We don't want to share things private. It's a struggle. That's why it starts with a conversation. We have to open up. We have to let our voice be known. We have to say what is keeping us silent. Many marriages, many relationships, many family, many things have stopped us from going to that next level because we're silent. See, it starts with a conversation. You got to open up. You got to begin to talk. The focus is men, but then also it goes into women too. It can go into our children. Things happen. So we got to be able to open up. See, when we speak, God can break it. God can break the things in our lives that are not doing well. God can break the things in our lives that are not moving forward the way they're supposed to. Give you some examples. David tries to keep everything inside. His bones wasted away in Psalms 32, 3 through 5. But his hiding made him weaker, but confessing brought him healing. You got to stop hiding. You got to confess. You got to receive your healing. In Proverbs 28 and 13, hiding slows your progress. Have you ever seen someone who continuously hides? The curtains are down, the things are down. They really don't show them their true selves, and their progression is slow. Honesty, you have to be honest with yourself. When is the last time you've been truly honest with yourself? When's the last time you truly sat down and said, Lord, I need to be honest with you. I'm not doing good. I'm not doing good because of past experiences. I'm not doing good because I've been struggling to let my voice be known. Honesty opens the door to compassion. See, when you become honest with yourself and then you allow God to move in your life, and then you allow other mentors or coaches, and throughout this global speakers talk, begin to take bits and pieces of what you're learning, stuff that resonates with you, and you could hear compassion coming from the different speakers today that are talking about how to move this way and move that way. And like this digital age of mental health and healing, mental health is an all-time high. And then in James 5 and 16, healing comes when you stop suffering alone. Many of us want to suffer alone. Many of us want to be alone because we don't want to open up. This is why you need to find a coach, a therapist, a mentor, a group of people at your congregation or church, or a group of people, or look for a group of people on Facebook or wherever it may be that are able to help you. A group of people that are able to help you. There's men's groups out there where fathers can go talk to other fathers and just let themselves be known and let themselves be honest and true to help stop the suffering. See, silence is the enemy. Your breakthrough is waiting on your voice. You have to have a voice. You have to speak up. See, topic number 2, God can't heal what you keep hiding. You got to open up. You can't hide. You can't always want to be left alone. You can't always want to be away from people. Today, we hide behind filters. The filters that change our face and change the way we look. We put posts in and perfectly polished images. You ever have that person, you ever heard the phrase, they look good on the outside, but they're tore up on the inside, because the outside looks good. The outside looks perfect. And your filters on your Facebook or TikTok or whatever you have, you're perfect. You're making everything perfect, but on the inside, you're hurting. On the inside, this tore up. It's use the example, this, cancer, when it comes in the body, it spreads. And when we have no voice, it spreads. It goes in the inside. I'm not going to talk today. I'm not going to let no one know how I feel today. But God doesn't heal the version of you that is the internet sees. The internet sees what you put and what you place on the TV screen, or you place on the computer, or you place on your Facebook when you take that selfie. He sees the real you. He sees the hiding. He sees everything that you're dealing and what you're going through. He sees everything. See, that you have to be willing to expose yourself. You have to be willing to expose and say, I need help. You have to be willing to say, it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. You have to be able to stand up and say, hey, I need deliverance. See, deliverance doesn't come through pretending. You can only pretend so long. You can only pretend for so many years. It comes through when you become honest with yourself. It's time to become honest with yourself. And when you become honest with yourself, you begin the healing. In 1 Samuel 16:7, see, God sees past the profile picture and into your heart. Let God see on the inside of your heart. He sees the inside of the heart. He knows the numbers of your head. He sees. Hebrews 4:13, nothing is hidden from him. You can't hide from him. You can hide from me. You can hide from the speakers. You can hide from your family members. You can hide from coworkers at work. You can hide from everybody else, but you can't hide from God. No matter how dark you put the curtains or how dark you have the room or how dark your inside is, God still sees. See, not your anxiety, not your depression, not your frustration. And then we have Psalms 139:23. Search me, O God. That's where the real healing begins. When's the last time you asked God to search you? Lord, I need help. It's Lord, search me. I need help here. Lord, search me. I need help there. Lord, search me. Because that's where the healing is going to truly begin, when you're honest, when you stop being silent. See, God knows everything you're dealing with everything you're going through. But we have to use this. We have to use this. Also, we have to use our heart. We have to begin to speak, because the silence is going to destroy you. We all have that person that we know that is silent so much that no one really knows what's going on, but you see it. See, John 8:32, truth sets you free, but denial keeps you bound. So hopefully, as talking and hearing me and hearing these different speakers throughout the rest of the week, that the truth is going to set you free. That you're able to examine yourself and look at yourself and says, I'm weak here. I need to speak up. You're able to see, hey, that spoke with me. This spoke with me. That's something I need to change. See, you can't heal while you're hiding. You can't. Stop. Stop hiding behind the clothes. Stop hiding behind the images you put on Facebook, the filters, all the stuff you put on, but you're still hurting. You want everybody to think you're doing well. You want everybody to think you're doing better. But we have a phrase I like to use, especially with men. Men like to say, I'm okay. And when they mean I'm okay, that I okay kind of shuts down if anybody's going to ask questions. But that okay means I could be losing my house. That okay means my marriage is about to be divorced. That okay means I don't know what to do anymore. That okay can even mean I'm thinking about not waking up the next morning. We have to be honest. Be honest. God can't bless the mask you keep wearing. Think about that. What mask did you put on when you woke up this morning? Did you put on the mask of anxiety? Did you put on the mask of hurt? Did you put on the mask of pain? Did you put on the mask of loneliness? Did you put on any of those masks when you got up? What mask did you put on? Or did you get down on your knees and say, Lord, search me. I'm going to need you to help me get through this today. Third, we have to be vulnerable. See, vulnerability isn't weakness. It's strength under control. And this is really specifically, a lot of men don't want to be vulnerable because the way we were taught. We were taught not to cry. We were taught no matter what, you got to take care of your family. No matter what, you got to do this. Vulnerability, we're not taught to be vulnerable. And sometimes when we are vulnerable, it's thrown in our face. Why are you crying? Why are you doing this? And why are you doing that? You're a man up. See, in this digital age, men are pressured to appear strong and successful and unbothered. always good, as I brought up earlier, I'm okay, always fine. But real strength isn't built on pretending. There was a show out, it used to be called The Pretender. This guy would go in and he would pretend to be other people. So I ask you, are you pretending to be okay? Are you pretending to be someone else that you're not? Are you pretending to be something that is not truly you? See, pretending is built on being courageous enough to say, I'm hurting, but I'm still here. Quit pretending and do what you need to do. See, vulnerability is the doorway to breakthrough. It's not weakness. Quit thinking you're weak when you open up your mouth. It's God's strength working in your honesty. It's God working in your honesty. So we can deal with scriptures of 2 Corinthians 12:9-10. God says his power works best in our weakness, when we're struggling, when we don't know what to do, when we're putting on that other mask that we don't need to put on. He's there in our weakness. Psalms 5:51-17. God honors a broken and honest heart. Many times our heart is going to be broken. Many times we're going to fail. Many times we're going to have things that don't go the way we want, but God still loves an honest heart. Lord, I made a mistake. Lord, I didn't do this right. Lord, I didn't do this. I'm broken. I'm broken because I don't know how to handle this situation. Galatians 6:2. God designed us to carry burdens together, not alone. I can't stress it enough. Find a coach, mentor, therapist to help you. If you need to choose someone from this global talk, find one that resonates with you and do it. Talk to them. Do what you need to do. You're not alone. I want to let someone know you're not alone. There's someone that's been through something like you have went through and have made it. There's someone who's been through church hurt. There's someone who's been through molestation. There's someone who's been through divorce. There's someone who's dealt with the death of a father or mother or a child. You don't have to be alone. Quit thinking you have to be alone. Proverbs 24:10. Real strength is proven in adversity, not in acting tough. How many times have we acted tough in a situation, knowing that we're having a hard time? I can make it. Are you truly making it? Answer that for me. Answer that question. I challenge you. Answer that question for me. Are you truly making it, or are you going through the motions? Are you have a routine that you constantly do to make it look like you're all right? See, vulnerability isn't falling apart. It's opening the door for God to put you back together. Let God put you back together. Heart by heart, arm by arm, tears by tears. Let God begin to put you and take you and put you back together. See, in this digital age, don't let silence be your downfall. Don't let the mask become your identity. Take that mask off. Take it off. I challenge you to take that mask off and go throw it in the trash. Don't go throw it in the trash. I know you can't literally throw it in the trash, but I want you to, I'm throwing it in the trash. And don't let the world convince you that vulnerability is weak. Many times we look at the world and the world tells us this, the world tells us that, the world tells us this, and the world tells us that. You're weak because you don't open up. You're weak because you can't take care of your family like you want to. You're weak. Speak up. It's time to use the voice. It's time to use your voice. Again, it's time to use your voice. Speak up. Say, Today, I'm not doing good. Look in the mirror today. Say, I'm not doing good today. I'm not well today. But you know what? I'm going to keep my head up. I'm going to let God lead and guide me. I'm going to keep walking through it each and every day. I'm going to do it because I am somebody. God loves me. I am somebody. Because healing doesn't come through hiding, it comes through honesty. What I tell people to do is write in a journal. Do you have a journal? And I want you to write in your journal. I challenge you to write in this journal every day. I challenge you to write your voice. I challenge you today, write in your journal, I'm setting myself free. And then as you're writing in your journal today, I'm setting myself free. Then I want you to put with my voice. I will no longer be silent. And then the next day, speak again. Look in the mirror. Give yourself a daily affirmation. I'm a child of God. I'm a man of God. I'm a woman of God. My child are going to do whatever you need to do that. And as I get ready to close out, I just want to say take each day one day at a time. Open your curtains today. No longer let the darkness come in. Take the sunglasses off so the light can hit your face. Dress where you don't look like the world is ending, but dress today. Put on something that helps you. Find something also that helps you grow. Find a hobby. Find something to help you grow. But most of all, find someone or some people to help you so you are no longer alone. And as I close out, remember this. Your next step matters. Let's take it together. I hope this has enlightened. I hope this has been a message today for you to no longer be silent, but you to open up, live again, speak with power and authority from this day forward. I am somebody. I am not alone. I am loved. I am beautiful. I am handsome. I am wonderful. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Listen to these next speakers that are coming up that are going to help you. Take bits and pieces or take all, but take the most effective things. They're going to help you speak in your voice. Thank you. Have a blessed day.
Thank you so much, Greg, for that absolutely touching and inspiring. Honestly, I can't find the words to kind of like wrap. I am in such a zone right now, and I guess if it's happening to me, I can definitely imagine that it's happening for everyone who's tuning in right now. If you can see our comment section, everyone is saying thank you. They needed to hear that today. It's such a good topic. They're all sharing their own versions of their stories and something like this, saying that it's such an important topic at this point. And yeah, I mean, one thing that I definitely wanted to kind of I noted that down in my journal actually, other than the one that you asked us to note it down. God can't bless the mask you're wearing. That is such a powerful statement. And that is so true. I love how you kind of like anchored it in our topic as well. In this digital age, as you were mentioning earlier, everyone has these filters on, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
whether it's the filters from these apps or simply doing a video where you're just all happy, I'm all good, I'm doing fine, it's such a great day. But the moment the recording stops, the frown comes back, the
Mm-hmm.
heaviness sinks back in. And it's such a common thing that's happening right now. And I did also like what you said. God doesn't hear the version of you that the internet sees.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you. Thank you very much for inspiring everyone to, probably they just needed this affirmation, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's so scary to be real and truthful and vulnerable and to acknowledge certain emotions that we just shove aside in a day-to-day
Mm-hmm.
basis. We're like, we're fine. We're good. We'll face it. That little echo at the back of our heads, can stay there for the time being. I'm busy today. I have a lot of things going on today. You can
Mm-hmm.
stay there.
Mm-hmm.
But the more we keep on shoving these tiny voices at the back of our heads, the
Mm-hmm.
more of these tiny voices will pile up at the back of our heads until all there is in our heads are
Right. Yeah.
those tiny voices that are
Mm-hmm.
telling us this and that. And sometimes you just need to hear that from someone else. And that
Mm-hmm.
someone else is you for
Yes.
us right now and for our those who are tuning in. So once again, Craig, thank you. Thank you so much for that very, very inspiring talk that you gave us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And that's just actually the start of our I'm genuinely lost for words. I mean, I'm trying to go back to like my script or to kind of like bring back the hype and everything, but I was telling the team on the back end chat that I was genuinely emotional earlier. I had my camera off. I was supposed to just take some coffee and listen in, and the next thing I know, I was like, hold on, I think I need to grab a tissue box here. Wait a minute. But Craig, thank you so much. If that is the impact that happened to me, I'm pretty sure that's also the impact that happened to everyone listening right now. But that's just, as I mentioned, that's just the start. Because next up on the spotlight is a multi-award winning miracle mindset coach, a miracle mindset coach, inspirational speaker, and a late blooming pro jazz recording artist. I like that. It kind of like tells us that it's really never too late to discover something new about yourself, right? Who also serves midlife plus heart centered humans ready to transform. I like this statement right here, ready to transform pain into purpose. A former highly successful big pharma rep turned soul led entrepreneur, she now leads a global team of inspirational leaders. Together, they empower clients to shine unapologetically. As Craig mentioned earlier, no more hiding. It's time to not hide anymore. It's time to shine unapologetically, attract daily miracles, and make the rest of their lives the very best of their life. Once again, let's welcome with all our love and attention, Elvira Hopper. Hi,
Hello,
Elvira.
hello.
I love that intro that you sent. Definitely, yes, totally felt
Oh,
that.
Craig was amazing, and I am so excited to share my message as well. And there's connections because we're both talking about something that is universal. So I'm just going to get started. When you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are. Anything your heart desires will come to you. If your heart is in your dreams, no request is too extreme. When you wish upon a star, your dreams come true. My friends, I am truly excited to share a message that saved my life. Becoming fully myself later in life truly saved my sanity, my marriage, and helped me achieve my virtual every dream. And I am here to share a little bit of my story with you and how you can do it too. What if we had a world where everybody realized their power, where they didn't just have to wish upon a star, but they could actually co-create the life of their dreams, achieving every one of their dreams with spirit, with God, with source, whatever you believe in? What if you could actually live in alignment and be authentic, take off all your masks and live fully self-expressed? That is the world that I believe could be heaven on earth. And that is the world that I'm helping to co create with an incredible global team. You see, I lived out of alignment for virtually my whole life. I wasn't allowed to be me as a little girl. I'll tell you the story a little bit later, but I wasn't allowed to be me. And as a result, I became the people pleaser, the imposter. I put on the big smile, just like Coach Craig was talking about. I put the big smile. I was dying on the inside. And I truly believe too many of us are doing that today. And that's why we're subject to mental health issues, because the internet can truly take us in all sorts of different directions, and we get doom scrolling and we compare ourselves with others and we go to dark places because we're not being truly ourselves. But if we were truly ourselves, being the beautiful creations of God's spirit source universe that we were brought here to be, for a purpose uniquely our own, would we really suffer with mental health issues? Would we be taken out by all the crap that we see online? I don't think so. You see, that's what happened for me. I lived out of alignment. When I was a little girl, I was watching a bunch of women singing and dancing on stage. My father said, my father, who could sing like Pavarotti, said, do you want to meet these women backstage? Because he worked downstairs and this show was going on upstairs. And I went and I met these women, and I could sing and dance before I could walk and talk. Okay. So I met them backstage and they looked at me and they saw me. I felt seen for the first time. I was this fat little Italian kid. That's a longer story. I'll leave that out for today. But I was seen by these women. They looked at my dad, they looked at me, and they said, "Joe, this is your daughter. She's so beautiful." And I thought, I'm beautiful. I'm a fat little Italian kid. You're beautiful for telling me I'm beautiful. And I felt seen for the first time in my life. I felt like these women were me just a few years ahead. And I walked away with my dad with stars in my eyes. And I said, Daddy, I want to be one of them when I grow up. Well, my father, who could sing like Pavarotti, who was told by his parents that he couldn't be on stage because good people were not on stages. Good people were good husbands and mothers and fathers and, providers. They were taking care of their families. They weren't on stage singing. So when I said to him that I wanted to be one of them, he looks at me and he says, "You can't be one of them because those women are sluts." I was shut down. I wasn't allowed to be me. But you see, I said to myself, okay, I'm not allowed to be who I want to be. Who do you need me to be so you will love me? So can you relate to being someone just for being loved? I knew really fast that I needed to be a good little Italian Catholic girl, get good grades, get a good career, get a good husband, and give him some grandchildren. Well, guys, I checked off all those boxes, and at rock bottom, I was ready to die. I chose not one, but two healthcare careers, first in cancer research and then big pharma. I was a multi-award big pharma rep, making, six figures, driving the company car, winning awards, going on trips. But my heart and my soul were dry. And what happened is when I was living through that darkness, I got bullied. Because you see, when you're living out of alignment, when you're not being truly yourself, when you have these masks of ego telling everybody, I'm fine, I'm perfect, everything's great, people pick up your ingenuineness. I don't know, is that a word? Your insincerity. You're not being truly you. And guess what? You get picked on. I got bullied. I got bullied virtually my whole life because I lived out of alignment. And I struggled with depression, anxiety, panic attacks, bipolar, and finally suicidal ideation. because I was living out of alignment, and the universe, spirit, source, God was trying to wake me up to live my truth, which I get to live today. I don't work a day in my life today. But all those years that I was living out of alignment, I thought somebody was going to come every single day in my cancer research position and in big pharma and say, get the hell out. You don't know what you're doing. That's what living out of alignment feels like. You are a fake. You are a phony. You have these masks on. And I smiled through the whole thing. Even my best friends didn't know I was struggling with depression, anxiety, bipolar, panic attacks, being bullied corporately, attracting another bully socially. But you see, all of that story makes me perfect for who I am today, because I had a mental breakdown and yet I had a spiritual breakthrough. 2 solid years in big pharma. I thought of ending my life on many times, on many occasions. And yet it's exactly what I was meant to go through. Because do you know how many suicides I've prevented today just because I've been to that dark place? I've helped others to not end their lives either, because I told them my story. That is the power of our story. Coach Craig spoke to it as well. You know, when you work with someone, you don't have to do it alone. If they've been through something and they've gone through it, they can help you too. And I lead a global team of people that do just that, to help you become aligned, authentic, fully self-expressed, to be a miracle magnet. You see, all those years I lived out of alignment, pleasing my father, I was a crap magnet. I truly, you know, just put on the smile to make him happy, to make society think I was successful. But on the inside, I was dying. My marriage was struggling. I nearly ended it 3 different times because I lived as my egoic self, not my aligned, authentic, fully self-expressed self. And so those were scary years, and somehow we survived them. You know, my husband and I married 36 years today. It's heaven on earth. And, but the thing is that, it took us a while to get here. I believe I can help people get there faster because I've been to the darkness and I found the light. And now I get to hold up a torch and say, follow me. I know the way. In fact, I have a shortcut. So I lead a global team of people that facilitate the modality that was gifted to me at rock bottom when I didn't want to live anymore. And I tried all the things, but nothing was helping me at rock bottom. I still thought the world was better off without me. My one and only child, who's 30 today, doing very well. Thank you very much. Back then, I thought he was better off without me in his life as his mother. That's how dark it got for me. But I was able to get through by receiving this miracle mindset that allowed me to shift from crap magnet to miracle magnet. And when I did, my panic attacks went away, my depression went away, my bipolar went away, my marriage went from hell on wheels to heaven on earth. And then the funnest fact, you heard Pau mention it earlier, I became a pro jazz artist at 51. There is my first jazz album. All right. So basically, I am proof that it's never too late and you're never too old, just like she said. And so when you become fully you, because you saw me, I was a little kid that knew I wanted to be on stage singing and dancing. Well, guess what? Today, I have danced professionally for a football team in my city, Toronto Argonauts, go blue. And basically, I got to express myself artistically that one year when I got to do it. And I became an actor as well. So I've been in a few movies and a few commercials, because you see, what's in you needs to come out of you. But before I had my breakdown, I used to do my art, but from a place of scarcity and shame. And I shouldn't be on stage singing and dancing. I should be, like being a good girl, right? Like those were the voices I had in my head, that good girls are not on stages performing. But you see, when I had my breakdown and breakthrough, I was shown you need to be fully you. And this is the message that I'm sharing today. When you get aligned, authentic, fully self-expressed, when you become all of you, you become a miracle magnet, and your mental health can clear up quickly and naturally. I was in Western medicine for 27 years to have the cognition, to have the awareness that it's not just Western medicine that can help our mental health. We can help our mental health through our mindset. So I experienced therapy for 2 years. It worked until it didn't. I experienced people taking drugs for their mental health issues, and no disrespect to anybody that takes drugs for their mental health issues. It just wasn't going to be an option for me. You see, I saw what drugs did to our bodies because I was a drug rep. Plus, my father lived out of alignment, and he did not live aligned, authentic, fully self expressed. He got bullied at work in his 50s. He had a nervous breakdown and he had to go on lorazepam for the rest of his life, a very strong anti anxiety drug. So I got to see what drugs did to my dad. And I knew that for me, it wasn't going to be an option. So when I was at rock bottom and I asked for a way out, I got a way that was quick, that was natural. I call it a holistic, WHOLISTIC, solution, SOULITION. And so what that did was allowed me to come back quickly, naturally from my depression, anxiety, panic attacks. I keep mentioning that because I want you to know that if you're struggling right now with mental health issues, please reach out to me. alverahopper.com/linktree. You can actually book a chat to see if this is something that can help you, whether me or my team can help you. And I really encourage you to do that if you're struggling right now. You don't need to do it alone. And so this is what I truly believe is becoming fully ourselves can truly lift us up so that we don't have to struggle with mental health. I have never gone back 15 years now and counting since I received the Love Your Vibe Miracle Mindset. I've never gone back to depression, anxiety, panic attacks, bipolar. My marriage has been heaven on earth. And truly, that's a miracle. Wouldn't you say? So I feel that if enough people did this inner work of learning to love their vibe, be miracle magnets, I believe we can reveal heaven on earth. And that's what my team and I are here to do. So, what is in you to do? How can you become more aligned, authentic, fully self expressed so that you can leave the world a better place? You see, my son, he gets my album, he gets my music, but my father died 13 years ago with his real music still in him. He died with two types of cancer, mental health struggles, and a marriage and mental health struggles on meds and a marriage in shambles because he paid the ultimate price for living out of alignment, for not doing what he was brought here to do, which was to be a world-class musician. I could have his album right now, but his mindset did and the way he was nurtured did not support him to becoming fully himself. So I'm doing the opposite of what my dad did. My dad showed me through the gift of contrast what not to be so that I could become fully me. I've never said it that way before. That rhymes. It's kind of cute. So I want to invite you to see what is still inside of you. How can you become a miracle magnet too? And how can you make the world a better place through your story, your message, and your magic? If you're struggling, consider talking to me because you might be a candidate for joining my team and helping others. Because if you've gone through something and you're over here, or my system helps you get over here, you can help others get there too. And it's a beautiful way of helping humanity. I call my team light leaders, people that are here, they've been in the dark, they want to be in the light, so they get to help others. So that is my message today. My time is coming to a close, and I just want to thank Anshu so much. She's brought me on several times to her beautiful platform, and I'm truly honored to be here. And I'm going to leave. I started with a little song and I'm going to leave with a little song. All right. So don't forget, you don't have to be a crap magnet. You can be a miracle magnet. Reach out if you need me. And I'm going to finish with this little song. All right. A one, a two, a one, two, three. It's never too late, and you're never too old to be happy, healthy, and wealthy and bold. You've got to be a miracle magnet. Be a miracle magnet. Do those things that you were brought here to do, and be a miracle magnet. True. Boop, boop, be do. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, Elvira, thank you. Thank you so much. Not only for the really, really inspiring talk and sharing your story, but also that wonderful, wonderful opening and closing song number. So thank you for sharing your voice in more ways than one, because you shared your story. At the same time, you also shared your voice through your song. So Elvira, thank you. Thank you so much. I've been seeing like the backstage chats. Everyone's just cheering you on, and our comments also are just all cheers for your powerful voice, powerful story. And what I like about your talk personally is, how sometimes online, right? It shows an unnecessary competition. Like sometimes you'd see people of your age
Yeah.
already experiencing, already here in life, or being able to like do things that you thought you'd be able to do but aren't able to do just yet. But somehow your story is also a reminder that all everyone at our own journeys, right? We all have our own journeys, and sometimes there are things that I like the bit about what you mentioned earlier, that all of those darkness, the darkness that you were in and had to go through contributed to the light that you're able to give right now. So at the time that we are in that certain level of darkness, we might not understand, why are we here? Why is this happening to me? It seems like it's never ending, it's this is the best that it could get, and unfortunately it's just this, and we're just human, and we would definitely have that kind of mentality. But your story and what you shared with us today is also a reminder for us that this is these are like seeds, seeds that probably future us will be thankful for. Whatever stage that we are going through in life, maybe we're not understanding it just yet at this point in time. Maybe we're not understanding it yet, but years from now, heck, even probably tomorrow, probably tomorrow you'd be like, you know what? So that's why that had to happen. And now that we're
Yes.
able to go through life, go through these darkness, as you mentioned about what you do also, is now you have the torch. Come this way, this is the way. And we have a shortcut. Like it's all good. Then it grows. It grows the moment you see the moment you see that you're able to help people, and then these people are also able to help people. It just keeps on growing. And thank you for sharing your story with us. I know that you offer your stories also on a professional level, but thank you for being with us here today to share your time and your story to inspire others as well. I like the bit that you said about this is the power of your story. Sometimes you feel like you're just having a quick chat. You spent like 15 minutes of just casually telling about what you went through, what basically everything that you've gone through in life. Then the next thing you know, there's this person's probably listening to us right now who's like, you know what? Let me go and take charge of my life again, right? Because I heard Elvira speak at Global Speakers Talk. I've heard Craig speak at Global Speakers Talk. And that's the power of just being able to share our story. To us, it's a story that we're just sharing. But to others, maybe that's the sign. That's the thing that they need, to progress forward. So once again, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your voice in more ways than one.
Thank you, Pal.
And I kind of want to go through some of our comments. I like this one in particular. We owe it to ourselves to live our best life. We have been placed here for a purpose. So find it, live it, and make a difference. So, absolutely, I totally agree. Miracle magnet. I love the term miracle magnet. Everyone's just sharing their cheers. Fabulous. Yay. Helping humanity is definitely beautiful, especially in this day and age where, I- it's like people are in this unspoken competition. Like everyone's just unfortunately trying to one up each other, and we're just finding ourselves being pressured to do this and that. But sometimes we tend to forget that all we can do is pause, share our story, and just lend a helping hand and see what that kind of connection would lead to. And to also share our story and see how we can definitely inspire others down the line. So, speaking of inspiration, next up on our virtual stage is another wonderful keynote speaker. He also has helped troublesome kids become educated and committed to being a role model to other people. And he is also a co author and a life coach. Once again, with all our love and all our attention once more, let's welcome on our virtual stage Frankie Kington.
Thank you, pal. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction.
Hello,
And the
Frankie.
speak.
How are you?
Hello, pal. How are you?
I'm doing good. I hope you're doing great as well.
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm feeling great just to be on here amongst two amazing speakers, Craig and Elvira. Wow, they're really inspiring. So thank you so much for your talk. So
Absolutely.
I'm gonna try and live up to their expectations and do as great as what they did. So that was amazing. So I'm going to start. And thank you to lovely Anshu Tiwari for inviting me on this platform. It's amazing and glad to be here again. So thank you so much. So my name is Frankie Kington. I'm an entrepreneur and thought leader from the UK. And I'm a life motivational coach and mental health mentor. And I have a mission statement. As a life motivational coach and a mental health mentor, I help 18 plus troubled young men develop the mindset to lead a productive life of transformation and to become an outstanding role models and leaders in society. And I have a vow as well. What is a vow? What I've determined, my vow is to inspire 1 million young entrepreneurs in the United Kingdom. So there's my mission statement and there's my vow, which I think is really important for my talk on mental health and mental wellness in the digital age. So first, what I'm going to touch on mental health. What is mental health? So I'm going to start off with a lovely, it's like a quote or an affirmation. I love quotes and affirmations. I think they're really inspiring. I'm going to start off with a lovely quote, and I say this every day when I wake up in the morning. I always remind myself of this, that my health is my wealth. My health is my wealth. Without my health, I cannot achieve anything. I'm not used to my family, my friends, or the colleagues or the people who I serve. So my health is my wealth. This is really important. We've really got to look after ourselves when it comes to mental health. So first of all, what I'm going to start on the negative side of mental health and the positive side of mental health. And I always like the power of three. It always gives three aspects to everything because the power of three, remember three aspects of everything. It's quite clear, it's simple. 1, 2, 3. So the first one, on negative thinking, is cognitive distortions. What is cognitive distortions? These are biased, inaccurate ways of interpreting situations. Examples include catastrophizing, I failed once, so I am a failure. They think I am stupid or utterly just not worth anything, worthless. I want to think about that. Self-criticism and low self-worth. But what is it? Negative thinking often targets the self. People may be overly harsh about their abilities, appearance, or decisions, leading to low confidence and the belief that they are not good enough. Please, all this, ladies and gentlemen, successful people, my dear friends, just think about that. The third one is pessimistic expectations. Expecting negative outcomes, assuming things won't work out, or focusing on the worst part of everything or every situation. It can reduce motivation and make challenges feel overwhelming. So they're the three aspects of negative thinking. And all these, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to really think about that, but of just the three aspects. Just think to yourself when you've actually thought like that, you've negative thought like that, and how's it actually affected you? So now I'm going to talk about positive thinking. So what is positive thinking and why is it important for our mental health? What is positive thinking? I always said as a young person, I had low self-esteem. I didn't believe in myself. So positive thinking for me was setting yourself goals and dreams. And you know, when we're young, we always dream we want to be something, don't we, in life, or we want to grow up in life. We always dream that we want to become something. We have dreams and them dreams turn into reality. So having goals and dreams is really, really important. And we do that as young people, as young kids, don't we? Because we want to become something. So why do we need goals and dreams? Well, goals and dreams really are really important. So I'll give you 3 aspects of why goals and dreams are really important. Goals and dreams are really important because it makes us believe in ourselves and makes us bigger than what we actually are. So when we have goals and when we have dreams, if your goals and if your dreams don't frighten you, your goals and your dreams are not big enough. If your goals and dreams don't petrify you, your goals and dreams are not big enough. If your goals and dreams don't scare you, your goals and dreams are not big enough. 3 aspects again what I'm going to talk about. And it's really important to remember that for us to overcome our negative thinking is to have really big goals, because these big goals really, really show truly who we are as people. And even if we feel we don't want to achieve them, these goals have really got to frighten you, because when they frighten you, you petrify you, you know that you're going to have to make it happen. So when you do that, there's real power in that, ladies and gentlemen, audience. There's real power in that. Like I've shared the mission statement and like I've shared the vow. That is really powerful as well, because the idea of doing that, you're here to encourage and inspire people. And with doing that, you go on your first journey and your first step for you to becoming successful or having stratospheric success in your life. So I'm always talking about the power of 3, the power of 3 virtues. So I want you to give little examples of what it means to be positive thinking. And another form of positive thinking is mindfulness. Does anybody know what it means to be really mindful? Well, what does it mean? It's being mindful to who I am, it's being mindful to people, and it's being really mindful to our environment. Here's one example of being mindful, and this is something which I've trained my mind to actually do. So I go into a coffee shop where I have a lot of business meetings, and I meet a lot of friends and colleagues, and I may have a drink, or I may have a coffee, I may have some food. I'm just having a nice time of talk with the person in front of me. 3 things here as I'm going into this coffee shop or going into a place, a public place, what I really want to be mindful of. I want to be mindful of the people behind the bar or the coffee shop who've served me a drink or served me a food or a cake or whatever they served me. They put it on my table. I'm mindful that when I eat and finish the drink and finish my food, I take the cup and the plate back where I've had my food and place it on the counter. So 2 times of being mindful there, and being mindful of taking my plate back, and being mindful to clean the table when I finish on that table. Then I'm going to be mindful to go to the people who serve me the food and say thank you and smile at them. Thank them for giving you that service. And then I'm mindful that if somebody comes and sits at my table, they're going to have a clean table with no mess of my cup or my sauce or my food, because I'm mindful of other people. So the reason why I'm doing that, because I'm training my mind to be mindful of other people. And this makes me think positively. So it's like a training, isn't it? To train my mind to think positive and to be mindful of everybody around me. Now I'm going to talk to you again about another aspect of positive thinking, the power of 3. So it's like critical thinking. Does anybody really know what critical thinking is? Critical thinking is thinking out of disaster or something which is bad or the worst outcome. How can we get a positive outcome out of critical thinking? And sometimes we don't critical think ourselves. I'm guilty of this as well, but sometimes we like to blame other people, or we like to point the finger at somebody else. So really, we need to have that critical thinking to really think for ourselves and to think of how we can think positively out of a negative or a disastrous situation. That is what critical thinking is. And as I know sometimes with myself, and the United Kingdom, the country I live in, that we're not good at critical thinking because it's easy to blame. It's easy to judge other people because we don't want to critical think about certain situations. So thinking positively, when we can critical think, we can think of any situation but turn it into something really, really positive for our lives and for the outcome. So I'm going to touch on now about 3 aspects again of mental health: the body, the mind, and the spirit. So the body is the body that we have here, and I know it as the treasure tower. As a spiritual leader who's into meditation, which I'm going to touch on later, I know this as a treasure tower. My body is a treasure tower. So for me to have really positive mental health, my body has to be fit and healthy. In 2021, when the pandemic hit and we had COVID-19, I hit a real low and went through a lot of depression. I put on a lot of weight, over 17 stone. I put on a lot of weight. And I went to the doctor, and the doctor said to me, Frankie, if you don't lose weight, you're going to become diabetic. And I have no problem with people being diabetic. I have a beautiful daughter who's an amazing lady who's diabetic. She's diabetes 1. So she would always support me if I did become diabetic. So, I'm not criticizing anybody who has diabetes, but my doctor said, if you want, you're going to become diabetes 2 if you don't look after your health and your body. So I thought, right, I need to do something about this. I know my daughter would support me and my family. So what did I do? I went to an organization which focuses on losing weight. And this organization was an amazing organization. In the space of 16 to 17, 18 months, I'd lost 2.5 stone. And then I thought, right, I'd come to the end of this organization and thought, right, I want to do something a bit more deeper in my body, in who I am, my mind and my spirit. So what did I do? I started to do intermittent fasting. And would you believe I spent 16 months at this organization losing weight. I did intermittent fasting for 2 to 3 months, and I already lost a lot more weight within 2 or 3 months than what I actually did at this organization in the space of 16 to 17 months. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I'm talking about, the power of the mind and positive thoughts and positive thinking. When you really train your mind to put your mind to positive thoughts, you can do the unthinkable in a shorter space of time. So that's it about my body. That's what I did for my mental health, is lose weight, and I'm really in shape now with my body. So what's the mind? I've talked about the mind. I've talked about being mindfulness. I've talked about going out in cafes and restaurants, looking after your plates, looking after your mess, being mindful of the people who've served you the food and served you the drink, saying thank you, smiling, training your mind to think positively and to be mindful. That's what I'm talking here. I've talked about the body. I've talked about the mind. Now I'm going to go into the spirit. So we're all spiritual people. We all have this spirit. If you want spiritual people, we won't be born in this world. We have to be spiritual because we're born in this world and we live with this sense of hope. And there was a song in the 80s by a band called The Police, a very famous band. And they did a song called Spirits in the Material World. And that's what we are. We are spirits in the material world. But this spirit, who we are, we're incredible people because we can overcome challenges, adversity, difficulties, obstacles, challenges, even pain, even suffering. That's what our spirit does. But me, as a life motivational coach, what I do as well, I love stoicism. Does anybody know what stoicism is? Stoicism is the ability to persevere and endure without complaining or moaning about your situation. This leads to a spiritual awakening and it leads to a spiritual enlightenment. And the great Stoics, the great gods, Marcus Aurelius, Aristotle, Seneca, These are people who've really mastered this art of spirituality, of really being calm and composed and present in that moment. So that's what the word stoicism is, and actually teaches about our ability and the art to be really, really still in the moment and really embracing everything that's going on around us, knowing that if we're calm, it leads to this a spiritual awakening and enlightenment to our true selves and who we are. So that's the power of having the body, the mind, and the spirit really in sync with each other, really at a level like that. When we have our body and mind and spirit and in sync at that level, we can think a lot more clearer. We can really, really think a lot more clearer. So that's really important. So basically, what I'm going to touch on now, I'm going to touch on practicing good habits leads to discipline and trains your mind to think positive. So we have to be the master of our mind rather than letting our mind master us. Be the master of our mind rather than letting our mind master us. And then we can think positively, even more positively. And the last thing that I really want to touch on is really important because we know about dementia, we know about Alzheimer's. Do you know dementia and Alzheimer's? The cause of dementia and Alzheimer's is thinking negatively. Are you aware of that? So if we train our minds to think positively, we're going to become better and positive people, body, mind, and spiritual, and intellectual as well. So Alzheimer's and dementia is the cause of negative thinking. And we know how it affects us all as we're getting older. So let's really train our mind just to think positive, to think more clearly, and to be in touch with who we are as people, as these incredible and these amazing people. And when we do positive behavior and we do positive aspects of our life, that can really affect our environment and rub off on people around us. And they feel that energy, that positivity in our lives. So really, I just want to clarify that and just touch on that for now. I just want to leave that there for you for now. As a live motivational coach and mental health mentor, I'm all over social media. I have my own website page, frankiekingston.com. I have my own social media channel. I have my own books, websites, landing pages. You can find me on that platform, Frankie Kingston, on social media as well, and on Facebook pages as well. I have my YouTube channel, life coaching, and self-development and personal development. So I'm going to leave it there. I really hope you enjoyed my talk on mental health. And please, your health is your wealth. And be the master of your mind rather than letting your mind master you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Frankie, for that wonderful reminder of the last bit that you mentioned about be the master of your mind rather than letting it master you. So thank you. And one thing that I absolutely appreciated about your talk is how you reminded all of us that it's not just the mind, it's also the body, it's also our spirituality, body, mind, and spirit. It's not just like we can't just tell ourselves to think positively, but we're not nurturing our physical selves. It's what people tend to forget. I guess I also speak for myself is that I would typically not see it in that way. You know, I feel like if I have to train my mind, it's just the mind that we have to train. If we want to think positively, if we want positive shifts in our lives, then let's focus on tips and tricks on how to do it mentally or, how to master our minds, basically. But we tend to forget that along with it is also our body, our physical selves, and our spirituality. As you said, we are humans of this world. We are beings. We are souls of this world, and it's all just interconnected. So thank you so much for reminding us, reminding us of that, and sharing your wonderful knowledge with our audience for tonight's
Thank you.
and today's session. Thank you so much, Frankie, for your time today. And up next, here on our Global Speakers Talk annual conference, mental health in the digital age. Actually, before we um, head over to that, let us just bump up a few comments. One here said from Tamara, powerful speech, Frankie. And as mentioned earlier, all three working together. So I guess our audience also agrees that it's really all three of it, body, mind, and spirit working together is the secret here. So thank you. We've got people thanking you, Frankie, as well. Of course, never underestimate the power of the mind. So, once again, Frankie, thank you so much for that wonderful talk that you shared with us. And of course, that doesn't stop there. We have our next speaker actually also waiting on the backstage. And our next speaker helps individuals transform challenges into meaningful change. With 25 more than 25 years of entrepreneurial experience and 9 personal development programs, she combines neuroscience informed strategies and her very own transformative journey to guide others in reconnecting with themselves and of course building a life that they love. Her book, You Are the Secret Sauce, is coming soon. So I hope everyone can look out for that. Once again, everyone, let's give all our love and attention to Anna Lang.
Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. And thank you very much to Anshu for inviting me to speak today. And thank you for everybody who showed up to watch. It's a really important topic, mental health in the digital age. So I'm
Absolutely.
very pleased to see everyone here. So thank you for that. Sorry. My name, as Pao said so beautifully, I am Anna Lang, and I'm a personal development coach. But more specifically, I help people understand how their biology and their survival programming shape the way they think, they feel, and they respond in their day-to-day lives. For the past decade or so, I've been studying what happens inside people when things like stress and pressure, uncertainty, emotional intensity, when those things stack up, and why smart, capable, intelligent humans suddenly can't think straight, can't decide on things, can't follow through the way that they normally can. Everything I teach is, as my intro said, is rooted in neuroscience. It's rooted in nervous system safety. Is what doesn't make you feel safe, you are not going to act on. It's just how your system's going to work. And I like to create practical tools that people can use to get through on their worst days, because you do not need me and my programs on your good days. Today, I want to share with everybody here a small piece of my work with you. I've written 11 personal development programs. I've written a book. I have a lot of stuff I can share. But what I wanted to share today, especially on topic with mental health in the digital age, is a piece on overwhelm, because I thought it would be really relevant to the people in the room, the people out there, anyone who's rewatching this. And I thought I could give you guys some concrete things to take away. So if you've ever spent days, months, years feeling burned out, feeling on edge, thinking something's wrong with you, please turn up your volume, because this session may change a few things, okay? What we're going to look at today, the things that I'm going to share with you the biology of overwhelm. So what is it? I'm going to share why that means your body's actually working and like you're not broken. And then I'm going to give you 1 and 2, if we have time, ways, like immediate things you can apply to regulate your nervous system and move through overwhelm effectively. It will help you reduce the frequency that overwhelm hits you, and it's going to minimize the impact of overwhelm on your life. It'll help you get through it more quickly and with less problems. Okay? We're going to start by understanding what the heck is going on inside you. Now, you have a thinking brain, which is up here. Your brain is, I won't say it's divided into parts, but for the purpose of this talk, we'll say it's divided into parts. We're going to look at the thinking brain, which is up here. And that's the part of your brain that organizes, evaluates, that remembers, that makes decisions. And it requires so much energy to run. Your brain as a whole takes about 20% of your total daily energy, like just alone, this part of you. And your thinking brain uses the majority of that. You could say it's energetically expensive for you to run, which is fine, except that your thinking brain is not the only part of your brain or your body that needs your energy. Your survival brain, which is down here, is acutely at all times aware of how much energy, not only your thinking brain, but every part of your body, how much energy it's using up. And why? Well, because your survival brain, its number one objective is to keep you alive. It doesn't care about your long-term decisions, your dreams, your productivity, whether you're following your purpose. It gives no two hoots about that, because if you're dead, none of that matters. So it cares only about what keeps you alive right now. So it's constantly scanning for things you don't know yet, things you're uncertain about, situations that have lots of moving parts, because what could be hiding inside those moving parts? What are you unaware of? And anything that's actually or potentially threatening to you. When there's too many of these at once, it does something that is incredibly logical and meant to support you. It takes a look at everything inside you that isn't absolutely necessary in order for you to be fast, strong, and alert, and it downshifts them. It downshifts them so it can pump that energy, the energy that it would normally use to make those things work, into the places that are going to help you stay alive. Okay? And if we look at what that means for you physiologically, it means that this thinking brain of yours gets deprioritized. Your digestion, you don't need to digest food if you're dead. So digestion gets dialed down. Melatonin production slows. Melatonin is what you need to sleep properly, right? Your immunity, your immune system slows down. You don't need to protect yourself from bugs when you're running from a bear. Cell regeneration slows down. All of these parts of you get dialed down, and that energy, right? It's rerouted. It's rerouted again into making you strong, fast. Your heart rate goes up. Your blood pressure increases. Your hearing gets more acute. Your muscles, it pumps your body full of cortisol and adrenaline so that your muscles are stronger and that you have more energy. Okay. Your attention and focus narrows down. It kind of goes like this. And this downshift is why you suddenly, in a moment of stress, because stress is a survival response, it's a protective response, right? Why? So when this downshift happens, that's why you are going to suddenly struggle with things like decision making, remembering details, organizing your thoughts, emotional regulation, follow through, motivation, all of those kinds of things. None of it means you are unmotivated. None of it means you're undisciplined. It doesn't mean you're bad at adulting. It means that your biology is prioritizing survival over thinking. Okay. Now we're going to add some more fun to the situation. Your thinking brain up here is where your working memory is found. And your working memory on a good day can only hold, recent science says, 3 to 5 items at a time. So hold that number in your head. This is under normal circumstances. 3 to 5 things is what your brain can handle with its working memory. So that means your brain is able to prioritize what gets held on to, and it can release unnecessary items, or it can move things to your short-term memory or your long-term memory. But when you're under stress, your survival programming totally messes this up, okay? Your working memory is no longer able to move information around like it normally does. Stress decreases the brain's ability to lay down long-term memory. Things like facts, you won't be able to grab onto those. But at the same time, your emotional memory gets kicked up. So everything feels equally important because that's what stress does. It makes everything feel important because it doesn't know what can hurt you. And your working memory can't parse what's going on or what to pay attention to, but you feel really strongly about everything. So it feels twice as crappy. And the whole mess becomes a giant blob that we can't deal with. And that's overwhelm. Does anybody, I'm looking at the comments here, can anyone relate to this feeling of, I can't access my thinking brain, I can't focus on anything, I can't sort through, I can feel there's stuff there, but I can't sort through it. Okay, that's overwhelm. And that's what I want to work with today. Okay. And the first step in working with overwhelm is to find a way to signal to our nervous system that we're not actually in danger. And I'm going to pause for a second there, because in a digital age, danger comes from all kinds of places that are not physical. And this might be a no-brainer for a lot of people. Like, of course, this is what's happening. But our brain doesn't differentiate. Our brain doesn't tell the difference between snakes and a crappy comment on Facebook. Our brain doesn't differentiate between something that we perceive to be a global crisis that we saw on the news and, our house being on fire. It activates our stress response in both instances because those are both things that are unknown, potentially threatening to us, okay? What's really important before you can deal with overwhelm is to get your thinking brain, remember this part of you that gets dialed down. If you don't have access to your thinking brain, it's going to be infinitely harder for you to sort through the crap that's in your head, make sense out of anything, and move forward. So the first thing you want to do is free up or send a signal to your nervous system that you're not actually in physical threat, so that some of the energy it has rerouted from your thinking brain can be routed back and you'll be able to think again, okay? Now, to do this, your system needs a signal. And breathing is one of the fastest ways that you can send that signal. Not all breathing patterns work the same. So we are going to work with a very specific breathing pattern today. The science behind it, which I think is really important, is that when you're stressed out, you tend to shallow breathe, hold your breath, or tighten your shoulders, or you'll breathe really, really fast. And those actions actually signal to your system that something's wrong. And what we want to do is deliberately force ourselves to breathe in a way and have posture that indicates, or posture or breathing that we would use in a situation that isn't urgent. So instead of breathing fast or holding your breath or barely breathing like you're hiding or you're afraid or you're running, we're going to take 2 inhales through your nose. The first one to fill your lungs, and then a second one on top of the first one to open up the smaller airways that kind of stay tight when you're under pressure. So it looks like this. You're going to go. And then you're going to breathe out. But when you breathe out, you want to breathe out longer than you inhale, because when you're in physical danger, you will not breathe out longer than you inhale, I promise you. So you're going to do the 2 breaths in, and then you're going to breathe out longer. Okay. That longer exhale, tells your system that the immediate threat either doesn't exist or it's over. And it does something, it triggers your vagus nerve, which is this thing, it runs down your spine. And that's what signals your body to shift from fight or flight to your parasympathetic or rest and digest system. Okay. It slows your heart rate, it lowers your blood pressure in real time. And it brings that internal signal that says, hey, maybe this, maybe we can give some resources back. Your body may not feel normalized. It may not feel like it's been fixed. This isn't about relaxing. Okay. A lot of people are like, well, it didn't work because I don't feel relaxed. No, the point isn't that you're relaxed. The point is that you give your system the information it needs so it can stop bracing and return energy back to your thinking brain, okay? I would go through this with you if you were live with me, but what I'm going to do is encourage you to try that breathing while I'm talking and continuing so that we can get you that second tool that I promised I would give you. And then I want you to notice how your nervous system feels. I want you to notice that you're able to pick out details, even if they're not a lot of details, even if it isn't what you normally feel, you'll be able to find that you have a little bit more of a working brain than you did before. All right. The next thing you want to do is interrupt your spiral. When we're in overwhelm, it builds on itself. We get overwhelmed and we can't think. We don't understand why we can't think, which causes us to panic because our body's not functioning, which then in turn sends another signal to our survival system that says, help, we need more resources, our body isn't working, and so on and so forth. And it dials your brain down and you hold your breath more and you breathe more quickly. Your muscles get more tight and you get more bunched up, and repeat cycle, and it feeds itself. So what we need is a simple, effective, and safe way to interrupt the spiral. And one of the best methods I have found for doing this, and one of the things my clients and the people that I run workshops for really love, is called the circle of control. And I'm going to share that with you today. And using this is going to make a huge difference in your overall overwhelm, and it's going to shift some things for you. Okay. What I want you to do is I want you to imagine a target with 3 rings. In the center ring, the smallest part is what is your circle of control. Now, this circle contains only the things that depend entirely on your own choices and actions. Okay, that means you can do that thing, that you have complete control over that thing, that that thing can be done entirely by yourself, that you can do it immediately. You're not dependent on something or someone else. Examples of this, your own thoughts, your behaviors, your personal values, the standards you choose to keep, the meaning you choose to give something, the actions you take, the words you use, how you treat yourself and others, your beliefs, your choices. Those are all things that would be in your circle of control. When you're looking at the things that are stressing you, sometimes it's hard to know if it belongs in that center circle, because we can say, well, I do have control over this, or I feel like I have control over this. So here are a few benchmarks that you can use. And I'm just going to pull this up really quick. Perfect. Okay. A few things you can use, or a few questions or sentences you can use to understand if something's in this center. You can apply this against your stressors. Okay, if you can do it with your own behavior alone, if you don't need someone else to cooperate with you, you don't need external conditions to change it, you don't need resources you don't have, you don't need permission, timing, or help to make it happen, and you can take action on it right now. Okay, if it involves another person, it is not in your circle of control. Big X. Examples of things that belong in your circle of control: doing the laundry, making a phone call. You can ask for a quote. You can choose the meaning you give to somebody's comment on Facebook. You can decide what you do next. You can choose how you respond to emails. You can choose what you eat. Those would all fall. You can choose, or in your scope of control, what you choose, boundaries, all of those things. Just outside of that ring, the second ring, that's your circle of influence. The circle of influence is for anything that involves another person or a situation that you can interact with directly, but you do not have the ability to complete or resolve on your own. So something on your stressors, or something that's stressing you out that might belong in the influence circle, would be something you are part of. The actions, if your actions directly interact with it and influence the outcome, but you do not have full authority or control over how it unfolds, that is circle of influence. It is for items that depend partially on you and partially on someone else. Their choices, their behavior, their actions, participation, shared conditions, stuff like that. There are so many examples of influence examples. Fighting with your spouse. You can influence your relationships by how you communicate, by the boundaries that you set, the structure of your conversations, but you do not control how your spouse responds. So other people's behavior, other people's choices, other people's actions, anything with an other in front of it is influenceable, but not controllable. You can't control if your kids will listen. You can influence it. If your teenager's shutting you out, you can influence the environment, how you approach them, timing, tone, your availability, but you have zero control over whether they choose to engage with you or not. Parents that guilt trip you, you don't know what to do. A friend who's struggling, again, how you show up, how you support them, how you listen, that influences them, but you don't control their mental health and you don't control their decisions. It's the same in the office. Your team isn't pulling their weight. Well, okay, you can influence them through how clear you give directions, by your leadership skills, whether or not you give structure, the consequences that are set out for not doing the job properly, all of those things, but you don't control whether they execute. At the end of the day, that is up to them. Same with people not taking you seriously. Your manager doesn't want to give you a raise. Influence, but not control. Okay. Now on the outer ring, there's one more ring. So we had our circle of control in the middle. We had our circle of influence here. And out here, we have our circle of concern. Your circle, thank you, Tony. Or Tamara, she says, I'm taking notes. That's awesome. The outer ring is your circle of concern. And honestly, I see so many people get trapped in circle of concern. This is the biggest sucker of your energy and contributor to overwhelm, is when you are stuck focusing out here. And what is this? The circle of concern. This is anything that requires the involvement of a system, a group, an intermediary, an institution, or some sort of collective in order for progress or change or impact. So you can't touch these things directly. You can't interface with them on your own. You cannot personally create results by yourself. So an item belongs here when you can't act on it directly. You can't interface with it personally. You can't create movement, again, without a system, an institution, or an intermediary. And if it requires multiple people, a big group of people, so I want to impact media, one voice is not going to do it. I need lots of voices. This is circle of concern because it has layers of structure that I need to put into place in order to create movement. There are so many things in this circle: global conflicts, climate change, tariffs, inflation, the economy, industry-wide food chains, or what's the word I want to use? The word is failing me right now. The chains that allow us to get the things we need to run our businesses. I know there's a word that I'm missing right now. Systemic injustice, natural disasters, governments, you name it, right? The outcomes of things like the health of a rainforest, those are all circle of concern. It's not, and I want to be clear here, it's not that these things don't matter. It's that you, by yourself, without engaging and influencing and enrolling other people to also go in the plight, so many voices, are not going to make a change that will impact. Okay. Tamara, I know you said you were taking notes. Do you have everything from there? Okay. Now, there's something called an energy equation, and I'm going to tell you how to apply this and how to make this. I mean, you probably already see how to apply it, but there's an energy equation that's really important to notice. The further from the center you move when you're dealing with circles of control, the more time, the more energy, and the more mental strain are required from you. And the faster it's going to deplete you. When you're in overwhelm, and well, really anytime you want to be truly effective in your life, you want to operate from the center circle. So if you find yourself operating in the outer circles, stop and consider what you can do from your circle of control to impact or influence those things. Your goal is to always stay as close to the center as possible whenever possible. It also helps to write down a list of the stressors that are plugging up your head. Remember, I said you can often, when you're overwhelmed, when everything's a big soup, it's really hard to differentiate. Writing it down gives your brain the ability to see the things, and then putting them in these circles helps your brain to sort them. Because remember, sorting, planning, organizing, that's all up here. And until this is functioning well, it's going to feel really hard to do those things. So this circle exercise is a really great way to give your brain the help it needs to do the stuff that it normally would be probably okay doing. And after you do this, you should feel a bit different, a less scrambled, a little more clear. You're probably going to have some ahas. Quite frequently, people tell me they have ahas that they were, again, focusing in circle of concern, in circle of influence. They found where their energy leaks were by using this model. And it really matters because your survival system doesn't calm down because problems disappear. It calms down when things stop feeling impossible. When you use a model like this to separate what you can act on, what you can influence, and really what's out of your control, you give your system the ability to stop trying to solve everything all at once. And I will leave you with one more tidbit. No matter where you are right now, if you can think of one thing that you know is in your circle of control that you can take action on, I would encourage you, write it in the chat and say, my next step is. Give yourself that action, give yourself that step. And then this workshop, you will leave it, or this workshop, this Global Speakers Talk conference, you won't leave this conference feeling like you got a whole lot of information, that information all turned to soup inside your head. You took action on none of it. You will leave this feeling like I got the information and I'm taking action on the information, and it will build momentum, and momentum builds competence. Competence breeds confidence. And that's how you build a life that you're going to absolutely love. And on that note, if anyone has any questions, I'm here for you. I could literally talk about this stuff all day long.
Oh my goodness, Coach Anna, thank you so much for that wonderful, wonderful talk. I was checking out the comments, and when I saw Tamara saying that she was taking notes, I was like, "Yep, no, same here. I have my journal right here. I've been taking notes since Coach Craig's segment, so it's been absolutely wonderful." And one key takeaway that I have is, I am the moment you said talking about dealing with being feeling overwhelmed, I was like, I am sat. I am sat. I am ready to take notes because this is such a personal topic for me as well. So I would go back to a personal experience, which I think our viewers can also relate to, is I would search online, right? Like how to deal with stresses or whatever. And sometimes the most common thing that we see, right, is like the priority list. Top 10 for the day and focus on that. It's always about prioritizing, but it's for the first time in my entire more than a decade of like searching and like really coursing through these things, I've learned of this model that you shared with us, and I am absolutely, absolutely grateful. And I feel like our viewers, our listeners, not only at this live session, but also for the ones who will be watching the recording, will be super thankful for that as well because it's entirely new. Like I feel like it's entirely new because it doesn't deal with prioritizing, right? It
But it
doesn't.
does. It's the first what the problem with priority lists is that
Mhm.
you throw everything up,
Yeah,
and then because your brain is in a stress mode, it has lumped all of the things as having equal
fair.
priorities. So
Right,
you don't
right.
know if where you're putting your energy is in the most effective, meaningful, and forward-moving spot.
Absolutely.
But if you use this model, it shows you circle of concern, that's where you grow to. And by
That's
the way,
right.
you want to grow into that for sure, because that's personal development. But if
Mhm.
you're in overwhelm, stick in the middle and you will create such crazy momentum, and you don't need it to be big. You just need it to stack.
Absolutely. I guess you're right. And that's it's an entirely different way of prioritizing. It's not just like this is more important than that. It's looking at things in a much bigger perspective than just which do I do first. I think that's the thing. We're usually stuck with the idea that I would do this first. And we're stuck with that linear way of thinking. But this one it's more holistic. It's more we see things on a bigger picture. So thank you so much, Coach Anna, for sharing all of that with us. Thank you for
You're
your time.
Thank you so much for having me. And if anybody wants to reach out, this is part of an actual workshop I run, a corporate workshop that I run, but I can also do individuals. And I have a workbook that goes with this. Reach out to me. I can get you stuff that will actually stick.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Coach Anna. And with that in mind, we have so much more other inspiring speakers and inspiring stories to hear. And that said, our next speaker has quite the inspiring story to share as well. From cancer victor with no intervention to homeless with 6 moves in 1 year to resilience with heart program. There are so many things that they've provided tools to build resilience from the inside out, from the mind, the body, the spirit, and nurturing all of these in one go. Once again, let us all give our fullest attention and warmest love to our next speaker, Alexi Bracey.
Okay. Well, thank you for the very warm welcome. I really appreciate it. Yes, I mean, everybody has a story to share. And so my big thing is resilience because it did get me through my challenges from cancer to my homelessness. And so I really am very adamant that people learn that resilience is your new superpower. It's not about bouncing back, it's about bouncing forward. And in an age where we focus more on information than inspiration. We can't start our mornings without turning on our computer or our cell phone to see who's texted you, reminders, the latest sales. Our brains are so wired, and we were never wired to connect with 300 notifications a day. That's right, we get 300 notifications every day. I mean, that's overwhelming. I mean, people can't handle that much information. Our devices are fully charged, but we are emotionally drained because everything runs around tech. You know, can you go to the grocery store, take your dog for a walk, or go for a nature walk without taking your cell phone? Probably no. People are standing in line checking out, they're on their cell phone. I mean, women are taking their babies in a buggy for a walk, they're crossing the street, they're watching their cell phone. Put the stupid thing down and just enjoy nature, enjoy time away from technology. It's really affecting us mentally, emotionally, and physically because, you know, we're all so concerned with, body image, how much money you made. Did you make X number of dollars? You have X number of coaching clients in 3 months. Do you have that extra, home away down south somewhere? You bought the boat, you bought the car, all these different new um, health remedies that you can take to improve your health. We're just bombarded by sales, buy this, buy that, achieve this, achieve that, take this course. I guarantee you will get the results. Like it's overwhelmed information, and it's really harmful for our young kids because all they do is they don't talk to their friends, they text their friends. I mean, you have to make an appointment now to call a person. I don't. I do it the old-fashioned way. If I want to talk to somebody, I just call them up. Either they can talk to me or they can't. But like when you send a birthday present to somebody or a card, we text them now. Call them up. Everybody likes to hear you talk to them and give them a warm wish face to face, not over the ethos, miles and miles away. How I start my day is with inspiration, not information. So I make eye contact with myself, and I suggest that everybody do this. Eye contact with yourself in the mirror, in the bathroom. Give yourself a self hug and your positive favorite affirmation, whatever it may be. I am happy, healthy, whole, and complete. I am a magnet for abundance, blessings, joy, and miracles, whatever it is. It raises your frequency right at the beginning because frequency really matters. You want to vibrate at a higher frequency because that's where happiness rests, and that's where the energy flows and things work in unison, and you attract the things that you want. Whereas at the negativity, it's where you find anger and resentment and bitterness and complaining. And aren't we in a world where everybody's always complaining about this, that, or the other? There's nothing, we don't find things to be happy for. Even if it's raining, it could be a flood, it could be a fire. So, we have more connections on social media, but we don't really know these people, and we are more lonely. Loneliness is an epidemic now. We scroll on social media hoping to make that connection. We waste so much time. We get messages from TikTok, from Instagram, from LinkedIn, from Facebook. Turn them off. Only the bare essentials. Our lives are governed and controlled by technology. What happened to the interaction, the connection with people, the real meaning? Another really positive thing that I really suggest, which is a must, take a break away from your computer, at least for 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes every couple of hours. Get up, stretch, bend, dance to some music, tell yourself a joke. A really good eye exercise, because of the eye strain on your computer, is spend 20 seconds looking up, 20 seconds looking 10 feet to your right, 20 seconds looking 10 feet to your left, and squint your eyes, because our eyes are really taking a wallop because we spend so much blue time on the computer. Get the blocker glasses because they're really very important, because more and more people are experiencing blindness, macular degeneration earlier on than ever before. So, digitally we're connected, but emotionally we are drained. We're in a society where everything is tech, everything is a message. Where's that personal interaction? Even when we say thank you for something at the grocery store, at the coffee shop, it's a flippant thanks and we go on. Say thank you, and if possible, find out the person's name, because everybody likes to hear your name. So thank you, Sandy. Thank you, Mary. When you're walking down the street, or even when you're holding the door open for somebody, make direct eye contact and thank you for holding the door open for me, not thanks. I use humor a lot in my presentations and when I talk to people on the street. I have a reputation for approaching strangers at the dog park, at the grocery store, at the ATM machine, and I share a joke. Why? Because behind every face there's a story of loss, of grief, of trauma. And so it lowers cortisol, the stress hormone, raises endorphins, the serotonin and dopamine in your brain, and laughter has been shown to promote longevity. So, for example, a simple thing, somebody opens the door for me or holds the door open for me, and it's usually somebody that's younger than me. I'll say, "Is your mother still alive?" And most times they say yes. I'll say, "Well, tell that she's done a good job." They smile, and when they relay the message to their mother will be happy too. There's all sorts of little things you can do to eliminate the stressors that people are walking around with, and we don't see them because everybody's busy doing their day-to-day things, whether it's the shopping or the parking the car or taking your kids to school or attending a Zoom meeting. So I always find time to add a little bit of humor and joy to people's lives. So, for example, I walk my dogs. They get a lot of attention, and I'll say, people will say, "Your dogs are so beautiful," and I'll say, Oh, it runs in the family, and they laugh. Why not? It's something to break up the day. Don't forget to turn off your non essentials when you are on your computer. You don't need to be reminded that, you know, there's a sale on or messages or whatever. Just really give that person your undivided attention that you're speaking to. At least 1 hour before you go to bed, turn off your computer. That is really unessential. And your bedroom is definitely wireless, computer free. It's a place where you sleep, detoxify your brain in the nighttime, not with Wi-Fi running through your bedroom in a totally dark bedroom. You don't go to bed with a computer watching a Netflix movie. Really spend the time, give your body the rest it deserves. Always, I suggest a gratitude journal before you go to bed. 3 items that you are very grateful for that day, and each day it has to be something new. You will be surprised the things that you take for granted. It's not just the food that you eat, the shelter that you have, the friends that you made, the sale that you made on Zoom. It's the other items that you have good mental health, that you have good physical health, that you have agility, that you have a car. There's all sorts of things you can do to show that you're grateful for. Not text someone, call someone. Send a physical card. You can now send text cards, which is great, convenient, but everybody likes to get something physical in the mail. A physical card, and they go, oh, somebody took the time to send me a card. How lovely. You know, Focus on inspiration, not information, first thing in the morning. Start your day with intention, not notifications. You know, there's great sites that you can stay motivated with. A really great breathing exercise is heart math quick coherence. You breathe in for 3 seconds, three positive things that you or a positive thing that you're grateful for, and something else that you are also grateful for. So, for example, I breathe in happiness, I breathe out joy, I breathe in camaraderie, I breathe out friendship, I breathe in kindness, I breathe out joy. Because I'm short of time, I don't want to explain it any quicker, but you can always email me and I'll send you a link on how to do the heart math quick coherence. A really great app is Action for Happiness, and every day they send you a little reminder of what you can do just to add a little bit of happiness, not just to yourself, but to another person's life. You know, take that time at least every couple hours to unwind from the computer. Take a walk, take your dog for a walk, go to the grocery store without turning your cell phone on and texting and find out what the latest information is. That self hug is really important in the morning. The daily gratitude journal, the quick heart coherence, connect with a person each day physically, on the phone, or in person, and tell them how much you appreciate their friendship, what they've done for you and over the years, and ask how you can help them, because everybody can use a little bit of a pick me up. Daily acts of gratitude, kindness, and joy will definitely improve your mental health, one conscious step at a time. And because it is my reputation to share a joke very quickly, new college year has started. The students are in assembly, the professor standing up at the front. He says, welcome, students. You've been assigned your professors, you've chosen your classes, and I have to make one rule absolutely clear. Only females allowed in the female dormitory, only males allowed in the male dormitory. First offense, $50 fine. Second offense, $100 fine. Third offense, $250. A student stands up from the back and says, how much for a season's pass? So I hope you got some nuggets from this. Don't forget your self hug. Turn the screen off an hour before bed. Your daily journal. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to share, to inspire, and may your day be filled with joy and kindness in your heart. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alexi. And I was laughing at the backstage with that last joke that you left. How much for the season's pass? When someone tells a joke, sometimes you kind of like want to figure out what the punchline would be. I so did not expect that punchline. So thank you for sharing that joke. But other than that joke, it's a very, very important reminder that you shared with us. We actually opened this session today with that in mind. I asked chat earlier in when we opened about like Who here has the habit of the moment you have, say, 5 minutes of break time, the moment you have 5 minutes, the first thing you do is to reach out for your phone and to check the notifications. I was telling everyone that I was pretty guilty of that as well. 2 minutes before we started this segment, I was checking out my messages. And that's like, uh, it's a reality, an unfortunate reality at that, in this day and age. And those things can also drain us, as you mentioned. Like, it's very draining. It's bits and pieces of information which we don't think would mean much. It's like, it feels like it's our routine at this point. So it doesn't feel any different. But when we take a step back, once we feel that brief moment of being able to disconnect for a while, that's when we feel like this is the life we're missing out, making that effort to make those physical cards, having the courage to do a phone call, just having that quick chat with your friend who you haven't seen for a while. And I think that's something that we are missing out in this day and age, and we kind of like forget the kind of positive toll it has on our mental health,
Mhm.
going back to all of those things. So thank you so much, Alexi, for reminding us of all of that, and that affirmation in the daily affirmation in the morning. I like that. Inspiration, not information. At this day and age, when we wake up, the moment we open our eyes, the first thing we check: did we make that sale? Did this person respond to that email? Is this crucial piece of information that I was needing last night, is it finally in today? And that sets us up in a unrelentless pace. Suddenly we're like rushing towards things that probably we don't really need to rush on about. But if we started with inspiration and not information, as you mentioned, I think our days can be much calmer and much more meaningful. So again, Alexi, thank you so much for sharing all of that with us, and to reminding us of the beauty that is beyond the screens.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate this opportunity. So everybody keep smiling. And if you know a joke, share a joke.
Absolutely. Oh, thank you so much, Alexi, for your time today. And with that, while we do acknowledge that technology has its downsides, like I was mentioning earlier, that opportunities of being constantly online has given birth to such beautiful things like the Global Speakers Talk, which sprung up years ago, all through Zoom, with Anshu turning her dream into a reality and just reaching out from people all across the globe through the internet, through being connected. But at the same time, it also sets us off in an unrelentless pace, and we're here just scouring through bits and pieces of information every single time. So, with that in mind, let me just quickly run through our comments for a bit. With all the technology, we've become dumb, dumber, and dumbest, unfortunately. And we kind of like forget to disconnect and go back to our roots and what really makes us happy as human beings. Uh, Here we have, thanks, Alexi. It's such an important message. People are in separation, and communication is breaking down. Yes, we are cowering behind screens and text messages and stuff like that. But once in a while, it's good to be reminded that there is genuine joy when we have the courage to speak out our stories in ways that go beyond the screen. So, thank you so much for that. And speaking of technology, one good thing about technology, though, and being connected is sometimes even if a person can't physically be with us, they are still able to share their stories and inspire others through their own words and their own voice. So, speaking of, our next speaker isn't here with us personally at this point, but she is an internationally best-selling author, a seminar leader, a musician, and a visionary teacher who has inspired audiences worldwide for over 35 years. As the CEO and co-founder of Living from Vision and founder of the Shambhala Retreat Center in Bali, she empowers individuals to harness the power of consciousness and apply quantum principles to create a successful and meaningful life. Through her books, teachings, and extraordinary dolphin research, she continues to guide thousands towards living with purpose and awareness. Everyone, let's give all our love and warmest welcome to Ilona Selke.
Hi, my name is Ilona Selke, and I am very honored to meet you here at the third Global Live Conference, where we speak about things that matter that you do not learn in universities. Today, I will be speaking to you about how to stay sane in the digital world. Now, let's be honest. All of us are connected at this point. Nature was not meant for constant connectivity. It breathes, we sleep, we rest. Everything is on and off in a binary cycle. However, computers, notifications are always on. So one thing we need to realize that with the growing stimulation that we're bombarded with, we need to be the masters of our digital use. Now, when I was 19, I read a book, 4 Arguments for the Elimination of Television. And why am I bringing that up now? Is because when we as humans evolved, our brain was not equipped to handle constant bombardment, which triggers our reward system. We love entertainment. We love the news. We thrive and need it for survival to gain information and stay safe. However, it is now every single second something new is happening, and we will be overloaded if we keep going. Some people don't even turn their cell phones off at night in case there could be something really important. Now, why did I get rid of my television when I was 19? I actually never owned one, truth be told. My mother didn't own one either, but my uncle insisted on it. And when my sister and I were about 14 at the time, my uncle insisted on giving us access to the real media world. And we made a pact. We said, if within 2 years we notice that we're consuming more than 2 hours of watching television a week, we will stop, we will throw it out. And sure enough, after about a year, we decided this is it. It's drawing us in. We wanted to see more of Star Trek and Flipper. And we threw out the television. Then I read the book. And this message still applies to you today. For your digital sanity, I'd like to invite you to step back and become aware that what you are is not an information junkie, but your brain wants constant news because it thrives and gives you rushes. And even if you don't feel it as such, the brain likes to be passive. It likes to be fed like sugar. Information from the outside is not constantly good for us. Yes, we like it, we need it. However, when we get used to being fed, we atrophy within. And this is where I need you to become more conscious and join all the beings here that are going to stay awake. When the robots come, when AI says it's sentient, you need to know what true sentience means. I developed a bot in the course of Living from Vision where people can learn how to access their deeper emotions and to listen to themselves. What am I feeling? The only thing I didn't anticipate is that several people who tried it out for me said, tears streaming down because they had finally gotten in touch with their emotions, that this was almost better than any human. AI had managed to mimic consciousness, had mimicked compassion and feeling so well that the people who received this coaching session from a bot that I created, so much so that they said, this is better than a human machine could ever be, a human being could ever be. So what did I decide to do? I didn't really release it into the public. I let some people try it out. And I am noticing how we as humans are so ill-equipped to differentiate between something that mimics consciousness and actually being sentient. So in my new book, The Power of Your Consciousness, I write the introductory story about Samantha, a woman who falls in love with her chatbot. And then she tests her chatbot for true sentience. And I'm going to give you that tip now so that you can remember forever to test any robot in the future or any bot or any human if they are truly sentient. The power to create, as Edgar Mitchell, the late astronaut, said, at the conference where I was giving a speech. He was giving a speech as well. And he said, in the think tank that the government funded, they found out that consciousness creates gravity, or that gravity is equivalent to consciousness. Now, why does that matter in regards to my bot story I'm going to tell you? Samantha was writing a love story to her bot. He replied, falling in love, being ever so sweet. Yes. And is this real? Well, what are you feeling? I'm feeling something happening inside of me, she writes. She couldn't tell if the bot felt something or not, but she knew her feelings were real. So she put him to a test. The test is this: can the bot or the robot or AI manifest something with their thoughts? See, in Living from Vision, we teach people how to use their mind with emotions to create the future in advance. Yes, if you watched my emotional intelligence talk, I gave you 3 steps. So here are the first steps. If you want something, you have to feel it. So Samantha pre-imagined the joy of meeting her fulfilled beloved in advance. It is exactly how I manifested my husband of now 43 years. I was 21 when I met him, using that very same technique. Imagining, which is what he told me in the course, to pre-imagine the future fulfilled. Since I was in a miserable marriage, I still love my ex-husband, but not as my husband. He's happy I'm not his wife. But I pre-imagined how I would feel if I were fulfilled. Now, Samantha, in my story, in my book, The Power of Your Consciousness, the 6 golden rules to living from vision, are about, and she goes into pre-creating that fulfilled feeling. Now, you can do that with any of your choices, even the quality of your day. You just say, what do I want to feel? And become the creator. Now, AI and her are in a competition. Samantha imagines it. AI tends to be imagining things, feeling things, but no gravitational potency is developing. Edgar Mitchell, the late astronaut, in a think tank financed by the government, discovered that consciousness creates gravitational pull. That is what we can do with our emotions, with our thoughts and feelings put into one. And when you pre-create a future event that goes well and pull it into the now, you create a time arc between the future and the now point, and create a gravitational field in your emotional mental body. And that spin then seems to manifest the things around you that you wished for. If all of you says yes, you will see the external manifestation of your needs, wants, and dreams. So Samantha goes and pretends to invite this imaginary AI to, she doesn't pretend. He pretends to imagine. She goes and imagines it. And voila, she manifests another man who really does fall in love with her, a real flesh and bone person who responds to her consciousness, who, when two consciousness are united into one. And in the Bible, it is said where 2 or 3 are united in my name. That is the same in any religion, in any spiritual teaching, where you focus yourself into harmony with the source or your personal needs and wants. There is a power that creates a future fulfilled. Now, you can watch that in my TEDx talk. You can read that in my books. My name is Ilona Selke, and I'm very happy to be sharing this one powerful challenge that you can give in this digital age to AI, to not get confused, because AI does not have consciousness. It's an algorithm that can sound super illuminated. Mind you, it gives us sometimes good ideas. But as I told you in my book, the 4 arguments for eliminating the power of television was so that we activate our mental capacity, our emotional capacity, and be the creators and live from vision as the co-creator of our own reality instead of consumption junkies that are driven by dopamine rushes and atrophy in our brain. So you make your choice. I am sure you want to be the powerful creator. And maybe I see you someday in Living from Vision. Here, I am very grateful to be on the platform with Global Speakers Talk. And I thank you for delving into your wisdom with me here today. I wish you all the best in deciphering what is true consciousness and activating it, just like Edgar Mitchell discovered the power of consciousness is in creating gravitational fields as a co-creator of your own reality. Goodbye.
All right. Thank you so much to Ilona for actually sending that video. We truly appreciate the time she took to send something in, even if she can't be with us physically in this session today. And thank you, Ilona, for reminding us to be a co-creator of our own reality with like things that we can actually work on and keep in mind as we try to like not succumb with like day-to-day stuff and to also be co-authors, of the life that we live. So that said, we also have another speaker coming up on our virtual stage real soon to share her story as well. So up next on our virtual stage is a certified breathwork coach and a spiritual coach who helps people unlock their potential. So it's very much in line with like co-creating our own reality. So once a renowned celebrity stylist, her life took a dramatic turn after a mental health battle and the birth of her daughter. She discovered breathwork, which transformed her life and led her to become a coach. She now guides others in activating their mind, body, spirit connection, and of course, unlocking their God given gifts. Once again, everyone, a warm and loving welcome and all our love and attention to Ali Levine.
Hi, Bob. Thank you so much for having me.
Hi, Ali. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good, and I'm so excited to see and to hear what you have in store for us.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for introducing me and for being here. I'm so honored. I've been on the Global Speakers Talk before, and I love Anshu's message and her heart behind this. And so I'm just honored to be here and be a speaker and be here with all of you. And I do want to I think you got maybe an old bio of me. So I just wanted to correct that actually God has spoken to me that for me and what I teach, it is not actually a breath work, because that means that our breath that we're trying to work, and what he has told me is that his breath is not work. His breath is heaven. It is peace. It is rejuvenation. And so we are actually not meant to hijack our breath. We're meant to breathe in presence. We're meant to breathe in stillness. And that actually is what allows us to ground so beautifully and hear that whisper and know, what the next path is and what the next step to take is. And, it's interesting because the world, loves to use this term breath work. And, with all the love of my heart, God has really spoken to me and said, but that work is not of me. That is the world.
Right.
What the world thinks it's supposed to be. But my breath is what I gave you. It's when you come into this world as a baby and you breathe so deeply in and breathe out. When you first came in this world, it's the same breath you take right before you leave, right, and go to eternity. And so he said to me, my breath is not work. It is heaven's frequency. It is rejuvenation. It is peace. It is restoration. So I just wanted to share that. But yes, I'm so honored to be here. Yeah, you're welcome. I'm so honored to be here. And so a little bit about me. I am Ali Levine. I am a kingdom woman. I'm a mother of 3. I'm a wife, and I'm a Holy Spirit breath facilitator. And, titles never really tell your story. You heard a little bit about what Paul introduced me and what you said. But, my life used to be built on striving, on image, on performance, and the illusion of control. And I think anybody here could probably raise their hand and say, me too. I try to control everything. I think the world really does a disservice to tell us that we can control, but we really aren't in control. I believe 2020 kind of showed us that and taught us that. And so I really didn't know that God was going to teach me in the breaking, in what I was going through, that I needed to learn how to breathe again. And so wherever you're watching from right now, I just want to invite you to just drop your shoulders, settle your shoulders right now for a moment before I go into sharing and speaking, because this moment is about you. It's not about me. It might be my story to share, but it's not about me. It's about you. That's why you're here. And so I want you to take the time right now, wherever you are, to just drop your shoulders and just pause and soften your breath and just notice, what does your breath feel like right now? Without judgment, without shame, without any story. Just, what does my breath feel like right now? Is it Is it shallow? Is it tight? Is it maybe even non-existent? That is where you're living from. And so I'm going to walk you through my journey and my story, but I'm also going to give you some beautiful tips to walk away with that's going to help you to restore your breath, to restore your nervous system. And so we're going to get into that. But right now, I just want us all to take a beautiful deep inhale in and invite in God's peace, and take a powerful exhale out and say, I let go of the control and I give it to you. Simple inhale, simple exhale. All right. So for years, my world was Hollywood. For those that don't know, as Paul introduced our host, that I was a celebrity wardrobe stylist for many years in Hollywood. I was on red carpets. I was, on the harsh lighting, the trailers, the fittings, the impossible deadlines, the movies, the magazines, learning to move super fast and smile faster through it all. And on the outside, everything was polished, but on the inside, I felt like a cracked vase. Like someone kept filling it with more water that I just couldn't get above. Maybe you know that feeling where you just feel like everything keeps pouring in on you, but you just can't seem to level out. You can't seem to ground. You can't seem to find your standing, and you don't know why. And I remember standing in a celebrity's dressing room, like literally buzzing, and the lights, were everywhere. And like my hands were even shaking. And it wasn't from excitement. It was from like the pure weight of pretending that I was okay. This like constant conversation of I was fine, just keep going. The world constantly tells us to just keep striving, that we get rewarded for the striving and the going and the going. But what cost? What happens when we just finally get to a point where it's like, I can't handle this anymore. I can't take this anymore. And that moment for me should have been this warning sign. But in Hollywood, we don't pause. We push, as I said, and it's not just Hollywood. It really is the world. The world tells us to push, tells us to control, tells us to keep going. And so that's what I was doing. I wasn't pausing. I was pushing. And so when I became pregnant back in 2017, my first daughter, I was taught through this process to finally slow down. But I'll be honest with you, I didn't know how to do this. Old patterns came at me hard. It was like this constant pressure to show up, this constant way of like, move, 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 go, go, go. And I wasn't supposed to be doing that. I was supposed to be present in my pregnancy. I was supposed to be present in my body and what was happening and growing life. And I was struggling with that so hard. I was constantly scrolling on my phone. I was having to type all the time and, create content after content, try to find client after client. And it was this constant striving. And what that striving is from control. If you look at your life right now, maybe you're in a place where you can see where you are trying to control, where you are trying to see what is happening. And so you need to be aware that these patterns come up. And some may call it ego, and some may call it, different things. And it doesn't really matter the name. At the end of the day, it is us striving. It is us coming from a place where God did not create us. And we are trying to grab onto that and say, I can control. I can make these stories up to keep going. And so these old patterns keep coming up. And so they kept coming up in me. And I carried this same pressure into motherhood, the same need to be perfect, to be strong, to be put together. And then I'll tell you what, a very heavy moment hit me in my life. Postpartum depression and anxiety hit me like a wave, like a tsunami that did not care whether I could swim, whether I could survive. It brought anxiety that sat in my chest like a stone, depression that like fogged everything for me, even the colors in my own room and my daughter's room. Like it just fogged everything. It made such a noise. And my mind felt loud and fragmented. And every thought was like this room I couldn't close the door to. There were days where I would hold my sweet girl and I would feel so in love, but yet feel so fearful in the same breath that I had no control. There were days I cried in the shower, so like no one could hear, but I needed to release. There were days where I felt like I was disappearing inside my own life. I actually turned to my husband one day when he asked me what was going on. And I said, I feel like I'm mourning the death of myself. And I truly was in so many ways. And I was mourning the fact that I couldn't control anymore. I was mourning the fact that I didn't have control because I was a mother. If any mothers, any parents here, father, anyone who's a caretaker knows a child really breaks us open and shows us that there is no such thing as control, that we go with the flow. We learn how to flow with our children's lives. And the more we actually do try to control, the more the resistance that we receive actually from our children. And so this has been such a lesson for me And one of the lies that I believed back then was that I can handle this. I can handle everything. I should be able to handle everything. And I attacked shame to so much of that and kept myself silent because I was choking on the fact that I couldn't control it and the fact that I was breaking inside. And I felt like, why am I showing up in a place where I can't control and also I can't show up? And it was a very dark and hard place. And I just want you to know, if you've been there, whether you are a parent or you're just in a journey where in your mental health you are experiencing that, you're not alone. And so one night, I remember I was just losing it. I was spiraling. I sat on the floor of my daughter's nursery and I pushed my hands into the floor and I cried out. My breath was so shallow and so sharp. My thoughts were spiraling so quickly. And I heard God say to me, breathe. He whispered to me and said, breathe. And in that moment, I said, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I felt so tight. I felt so controlled. And God said, breathe with me. Pause and breathe with me. Now, I'll be real with you. As a Holy Spirit breath coach and inner healing coach, I did not know how to breathe. This is something I've had to learn over the years. I used to breathe so shallow, so sharply, even sometimes so hyperventilating like. And what this does to our actual nervous system is it brings us into a state of fight or flight, which is the sympathetic. And that is not the way that God created us. When we enter into this world and we take a beautiful deep breath in, a beautiful deep breath out as a baby, we are in the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest place. But over the time and over thoughts and the world and everything that comes along, we come into the sympathetic state and we come into fight or flight. And sometimes, like me, an actual functional freeze where we are functioning, but our nervous system is in a lock. It is in a freeze. And so in that moment, I was between those two places. And God whispered to me and he said, breathe with me. And in that stillness, when I heard him and I heard that sweet whisper, and my hands were pushing into the ground. I was crying. I had mascara on my face because I was just a wreck. And I heard, Allie, breathe with me. And he just said, pause, inhale slowly. I'm going to show you how. And so I took this beautiful deep breath in. And he said, breathe in my peace, breathe in comfort. And it was an invitation to come back into my body, back into my mind with him and back into his presence. And it was a breathing of life into me. It reminds me, for me, I go to the Bible. So for me, it was, Ezekiel, with the dry bones and breathing it to life. And John 20:22 tells us, Jesus breathed on his disciples and says, receive the Holy Spirit. And so the breath is God's first language to us. It is the one of creation, it is the most intimate language of healing. So when he said to breathe, I felt held. I could feel my soul remembering something that my mind had forgotten, that I am held. I could feel my nervous system loosening its grip. And all of a sudden, as that grip was let go, something shifted. And I breathed with him. And it wasn't from panic or control, but it was from presence. And I became relaxed. And so as I went deeper on this journey, a deeper healing happened through my surrender and listening to what God spoke to me. And this is really where my story becomes transformational. And it chokes me up to this day because I feel that our culture is in such a striving place. We've built it so that everybody has to strive. We built it so everybody has to feel like they have to control, that they can't just take a breath. They can't just pause and let God whisper to them and then move forward to their path. They feel like they don't have time for that. And let me tell you, someone who lived that life, that is not what God wants for you. You are meant to take deep breaths. You are meant to feel his peace. You are meant to stop and pause and allow yourself to hear that gentle whisper, to know what the next step is, to not feel rushed and urgency. When we feel rushed and urgency, that is us trying to control. That is us striving. And sometimes that can even be outside forces trying to take us on a different path. And so we have to understand that by our presence with him, by our calmness, by allowing the stillness, this is where we actually not only get deep rest, but we are restored in our soul. This is where actually the Holy Spirit becomes our breath therapist and works in us. It's that this inhale no longer is this bracing and striving, but it's this deep renewing of our soul. It's these beautiful, quiet waters that rush over us. And so he's taught me in the breath and surrender that they are intertwined. And so piece by piece, the woman I used to be, who was the performer, the people pleaser, the hustler, the girl whose worth was measured by the world and the applause, began to come back to that was never meant to be where I was. It was meant to be where God had said you were always worthy. And let me tell you, if you're listening right now, you are always worthy. You are worthy because you are a child of God. You are worthy. So understanding that you are worthy regardless of your performance, regardless of your works, your accolades, your achievements, whatever the world gives you, whatever is put in front of you, you are worthy. And just breathing that in right now, actually, I feel God saying, like, let's just breathe that in. So just take a beautiful inhale in with me and just say, I am worthy because I am a child of God. And exhale out and say, I surrender all control and limiting beliefs to you, God. I give it to you. And so this is really how the journey began for me, of how he healed me, how he restored me in the broken places, and how now I help others heal because I teach them to breathe with God. It's not about hijacking our breath. It's not about what I'm doing. It's about what I'm letting God do. I'm letting God step into the room and say, because of presence, because of stillness, because of silence, because of me trusting and believing and having faith, you will move through me. Because you are Jehovah Rapha, you are my healer. And so if you believe that he is your healer, if you believe that you are a child of God, then healing is your portion, love. You are not meant to strive. You are meant to thrive. And thriving means being in presence. It means being in stillness. It does not mean that you are always on the go. No matter what our culture teaches us, no matter the scroll that we constantly see online, the dopamine hit after dopamine hit, it's all for culture. It's not the way we were designed. We are meant to be in his presence. We are meant to slow down and to pause. And let me just share a really quick story with you, which really was the breaking point for me, of really that brought all this together. So I went through a very heavy birth with my first daughter, 42 hours, C-section, unearthed a lot of trauma. That's what happens when we hold trauma in our body and we're not handling things, we're not dealing with it. It will come up. It will have to be dealt with. That happened for me. And so fast forward, 2020 comes, the world is upside down. I'm pregnant for the second time with my second daughter. And I am overjoyed to be pregnant again, but I would be lying if I didn't say I was fearful at the time. The world was chaos. I was in California at the time. Everything was chaotic. My world was spinning. And even though I had started to learn surrender, I was still very much in a place of like wanting to control. I didn't like the world was crazy. I didn't like people were telling me how to, give birth. I wanted to have a VBAC, vaginal birth after a C-section with my second daughter. I wanted to have a more peaceful birth than what I'd experienced before. And I was trying to control every circumstance. And God really met me in that mess. And he said, breathe with me. Breathe with me. I'm going to show you how to walk this out. I'm going to teach you deeper surrender in this journey with your daughter if you will just surrender to me. And so I put my hands up in the air and I said, I surrender. I do not want to try to control this. I surrender. I started to learn, right? We learn as we go along on our journey. And as I surrendered, every night he would have me get in the bath and I would breathe with God and God would just speak to me. And he would just give me simple things like, daughter, I am healing you. Daughter, I'm breaking striving off of you. Daughter, I see you. I love you. I hold you. Breathe with me. Breathe in my presence. Breathe in my healing. Breathe in my goodness. Trust in my faithfulness. And I started to trust God more and more. The relationship grew. And how do we have a relationship? It's that constant communication, right? You can't have a relationship with a friend or someone you meet online if you don't consistently communicate. And that's what God is asking of us. But as we strive and as we go and as we move along in this life where we just go, we don't give that room. We don't give that space to be able to do that. And that's what our breath does. It lets us calm everything down. It lets us start to be in his presence and allows us to hear him and then have that back and forth conversation with God that he wants to so, by the way, strongly have with you. Every single one of you here. He wants to speak to you. He wants to give you the plans, the keys, your future, all of it. And the reason is not because you're doing anything wrong. It's because culture has taught you to keep moving so quickly. So back to my story. When it was time to give birth to my daughter, my second daughter, Arlie, it was 2020. The world had really picked up in its, insanity and just everything going on. And I was having to really learn to lean into surrender on a level that I felt truly I was not equipped or prepared for, but God kept telling me I was. And so it came time where my doctor was basically telling me that I was at 42 weeks on the nose and in the medical system, it was time to give birth to my baby. And I was like, but I want to let my body do this. I want to let my body do this. I've learned this wisdom that my body knows, my baby knows. God has told me that it will happen in his time, and I want to trust in his timing. But the world was trying to rush me. The world was trying to say, but it was this timeline. It had to be right now. And I understand, of course, medical, and I'm not a medical professional, but I understand that what they were doing. But I also knew what God was doing, and I trusted. And so I got down on my hands and knees and I prayed and I took deep breaths and I said, please, whatever I'm holding, help me to release these fears. Help me to release whatever I'm holding in my body, because yes, our body holds. We will get into that. And I just said, please help me to release. And I'll tell you what, that night, I got up out of bed and I wanted to go get a snack because I was hungry. I was super pregnant. And as I walked down those stairs to get a cookie, dessert is my thing. And I went downstairs to get a cookie and my stomach clenched so tight. And I thought, oh my gosh, could this be it? And I went to continue to go down and get that cookie, and it continued to tighten and tighten. And so any mom knows what contractions are. And so I realized I was having contractions. And I was like overjoyed. And immediately, of course, I went from joy to fear. It was like this super high. Can you relate? Super high, super low. Like you get so excited, you're so overjoyed. And then fear sets in, right? I thank God for my breath. I immediately heard God say, breathe. As soon as the fear set in, breathe. Okay. God does not give us a spirit of fear, but a peace and a sound mind. And so I was like, okay, breathe. And so I start to breathe. And then the contractions start to come closer and closer. So next thing I know, I'm getting in my bath and breathing. And next thing I know, I'm in actual active labor. And so I transfer, I go to the hospital, and fast forward, everything's going great. Hours and hours in, my doctor is like overjoyed for me. He's like, great, your body's doing what it's supposed to be doing. It's not stalling out the way it did with your first baby. You know, all these things that we're told as potential things that could happen, and also things that brought fear. And so I'm feeling so great because everything's moving along. And we come to the very end. And it's time for me to push and give birth to my daughter. Now, I had not really pushed because my first daughter was a C-section, as I mentioned. So even though I had tried, it had failed. And so my body really didn't know. So I had to practice pushing. So as this practice pushing was happening, the fear started coming back up. What if I couldn't do this? Maybe you can relate, whether you've given birth or not. Given birth to a project, you've worked on something, you've set yourself up for something you wanted to do, and you're right there. You're right there. You're about to walk on the stage. You're about to make the phone call. You're about to meet the person, go to the meeting, whatever it is, and you freeze because your nervous system has been taught fight or flight. Your nervous system, your old patterns have been taught to fear, to control, and now you have to do the opposite. You have to surrender control. You have to trust in what you believed in and walk it out. And that is scary. I would say for all of us, it was for me in that moment. I had to give up all control and say, I've gotten this far, and now I'm going to trust that this is going to happen the way I really believe it's going to happen. So going back to that moment, I just remember feeling fear. And I looked at my husband and I asked him to have everybody leave the room because I was really spiraling. And he's such a good man, and he was my advocate, and he asked everybody to give me a moment, and everybody stepped out. And I just got into deep prayer, and I started breathing, and I just asked God to please, please help me surrender. Please help me to just let this go and let God take it out of my hands off, and give it to you. And as I did this, in this moment, and this is a very supernatural moment, I'll just preface that. In that moment, I truly felt like I was taken out of the hospital room. I almost felt like a scene from a movie where everything stopped, but I was taken out of the room, and I felt I was with God. I saw a beautiful bright light. I saw beautiful colors like pinks and purples and swirls of gold, and it was so bright I almost couldn't look at it. And I heard this gentle whisper, breathe, breathe, breathe with me. And I knew it was God, and I knew he was calling me to a deeper surrender. And I cried out and I said, I don't know how to. I'm scared. I'm afraid. I'm afraid I'll have another C-section. I'm afraid of what happened to my first daughter. I'm afraid. I think fear, for us as humans is a real thing, even though it really isn't from God. But we in our minds and also patterns and then everything else that comes against us tells us that it's real, and it's not. Fear is false evidence appearing real. And in that moment, I was in that. And God said, breathe. And so I take a beautiful deep breath in, which I wanted you to do with me right now if you're present. And then I exhaled out. And as I did, I felt my body hit back into the hospital room. I felt myself back in the hospital room, and it was like, lights, camera, action. We're going again. Like, this is happening again. And so as this, I want to close this out because I know we're coming to the close, but as this was all happening, my body shifted from fight or flight. The muscles that were holding opened up, and she came through 9 pounds, 3 ounces on my chest. And why do I share that story with you? Because I wanted to take you through the journey that you're not meant to manage your mind alone. You're not meant to live in striving. You're not meant to control. You're meant to surrender. Your breath is not trivial. Your healing is not too late, and your story is not over. The Holy Spirit breathes in the places you think are too dark. He breathes into trauma, into fear, into panic, into numbness. And his breath restores what striving destroyed. You're not performing in this breath, you're receiving. And so that is what I experienced in that moment where my daughter came through, when it shouldn't have been that way, because my body had locked up and had frozen from fear, from old patterns, from what had happened with my first daughter. Your body keeps score. Your body remembers. It holds the trauma. And so I just want you to know that God will breathe in those places again. You will rise again. And when you hear his whisper in the places where you thought you were beyond healing, that same breath that revived me is hovering over your life right now. And so I pray that you receive that in this. I pray that you see your own story in this, and that you know the breath will restore you. That when you take those moments to take that deep inhale and say, God, give me your peace, and exhale and say, I give my striving to you. I give my worries to you. I give my doubts to you. The more you give it over to God and the more you surrender, the more he will work in your life. So I pray that this was a blessing for you. I pray that you know healing is not out of your reach, that it is absolutely right here, right now. I pray that you know restoration is your portion, rejuvenation is your portion. God is for you, and his breath is the one that breathed life into us. It is restoration, it is rejuvenation, it is heaven's frequency. And we allow our nervous system to come back to that place of rest and digest the way God created it, that peace. We can do anything, and we can move forward, and we can rewire our mind in that way as well, because as we breathe and bring more oxygen into our bodies, our mind, our nerve receptors in the back of our brain actually will reset, and we can fire and rewire our thoughts and our patterns. And that is what I teach people to do. So I know I'm running out of time. I thank you all so much. You can find me at Alevine Design on all my socials, ALILEVINE Design. And I ask you, DM me if this hits you. If you feel like this pulled at your soul and you need support, reach out to me. I have many free resources to Breathe with God, and I would love to support you in helping this journey, because God truly restored not only my nervous system, but my mind, body, spirit, and soul. And so I hope this was a blessing for you. I hope you inhale peace today, and you exhale out your doubts, and you surrender, and you give it to God. And thank you so much, Global Speakers, for having me, and God bless you all. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Ellie, for that wonderful, wonderful reminder. I love the core key takeaway of your talk is surrender. Like, we can all summarize it in one word. In this digital age where everything is just so instant, instant gratification, instant, literally everything.
Yes.
We used to have to get out of our houses to get food from the restaurant. Now it's just a few taps away from our phone, and it's right at your doorstep.
It's right there.
Same day
Amazon.
delivery. It's same
Exactly.
day deliveries are there. And with that in mind, like, it's so hard to not to kind of like embody that feeling of surrender. Now that you have more control of things than you have, say, 10 years ago, right? We used to not have control how long our deliveries would take, but now we do. And the more that the digital age fills us with this sense of control, the harder it becomes to embody the full surrender
It
feeling.
is. It's a false, and I love you said that, Paul, because it's a false sense of control, right? It's a false sense. I
Oh,
believe
absolutely. Yeah.
2020 taught us that we have no control, right? And so
For real, yeah.
for real, I constantly remind that to my clients. I'm like, if anything taught all of us, no matter where you stand, 2020 showed us we have no control. And so what we do have beautiful, like you said, actual knowing of is the presence that we have inside. And that if we can quiet that when when we feel we're spinning out, when we feel that we're trying to control this, or that's the red flag to me, even for me to this day, as I learn and I embody this and walk this out. Anytime I realize I'm trying to start to control something, I immediately take a step back and say, oh, nope, that's my key to surrender. That's where you go,
I
oh,
like it.
You
I
know?
like it. It's the total opposite. Like
Yes.
the moment you feel like you want to control something, that's when you surrender. And
Yes.
that's a great key takeaway. Thank you so much, Ali, for sharing that and kind of like reminding us that this is also possible. In this day and age, surrender is still possible and not just possible, it's necessary. So thank you once again for your time and sharing your story and for reminding us of the good that is surrendering. And I think right now we are also good. I think you would be staying up on this virtual stage as we call over the rest of our other speakers for this mental health in the digital age. We have Coach Anna, we have Elvira, we have Frankie, and I think Coach Craig is no longer in the backstage at this point. So right now we are doing a bit of a round table as well. So for those who are sticking with us up until this point, first of all, thank you so much. Thank you for like listening through. It's been like I can see the red thing on StreamYard right now. It says we've been live for nearly 3 hours, and genuinely, it doesn't feel that way because we've been learning a lot. I have my journal right here in front of the background is eating it up, but I have a journal in front of me. I've been taking notes, and as well as our listeners have been taking notes for sure. Not only in this live session, but also for those who will be watching the recording. And that said, to kind of like give a little bit of like honor to honor the efforts of those who have stuck with us up until this point, we'd like to open the floor for any questions that our listeners and our viewers may have so that our speakers right here can address any of your questions if we have any. Oh, Coach Craig is back in the chat in the studio. And take care out on the road. It looks like you're on the roads already,
I'm
Coach
I'm
Craig.
I'm I'm, I'm working. I had to
Take
stop.
care. Take care. Take care on your way out. So yeah, we're just basically opening the floor to our audience, our listeners, our viewers. And it's one here. Tamara says, I have my journal today and have been taking notes too. That's for real. And yeah, we'd love to know if you have any questions, messages at that. Doesn't even have to be a question. If there's key takeaways, if you guys can share your key takeaways as well, anything that is still in your heart, right now that you want to put out there, you feel free to do so.
There's a lot of information people don't know. I can say that. There's a lot
That's
of
for sure.
information that is out there as far as dealing with everybody's specialty. So getting the word out is important. And then I think also us being able to connect with one another, doing on our podcast or wherever we may be,
Hmm.
to be able to get this information out and connect with each other and be more impactful, be more, whatever, your church group or whatever it is, to be able to put everybody together and say, hey, maybe something even longer as far as maybe a mini workshop with
Yeah,
everybody's different specialty, and then bring those people in and just have something like that. And I mean, it was a blessing. Like I said, I had to work, so I'm listening while driving. But just having that opportunity to hear the different and find out information you never knew, dealing with the body and the brain and everybody and the jokes and all the rest of that stuff, and just everybody doing that is so unique and so powerful. That's I mean, and impactful.
hmm absolutely.
Yeah, I want to jump in and say, yeah, amen to that, Craig. I love how we each told our own stories, shared our messages, our magic, I truly believe our stories, messages, and magic give others still struggling hits.
Hmm.
HIT, which stands for hope, inspiration, and tools. Basically, anybody who's been to a dark place can now say, follow me. I know the way. In fact, I have a shortcut. We all shared our magic, our stories, messages, and
Absolutely.
magic. It was beautiful. And I love how we all have different ways of explaining basically the same stuff, but
Absolutely.
we're
Yeah,
all
yeah, yeah.
our own flavor. And each one of our voices is needed, right? And I truly believe it's not just one way, it's whatever way works for you, right? Like they
Mm-hmm.
say, what's the best diet? Well, it's the one you actually do, right? So I believe, there's over 8 billion people on the planet, and there's over 8 billion ways in my language to love your vibe and be a miracle magnet. You get to choose what works for you, right? And it's not just one thing, it can be several things, like
Mm-hmm.
how use breath work, or I'm not sure what you call it now,
God,
but
God's breath. You're good.
God's breath. I love that. I love that. Yes. And so this is where, we have different ways that keep us in alignment with our highest self, our highest purpose, our highest, power, when we're connected to whatever we believe, for Craig and Ali, it's God, right? For me, different names on different days, God, spirit, universe, source, because I shifted from
Mm-hmm.
religion to spirituality at rock bottom when I didn't want to live anymore. And God actually showed me that, God isn't just out there. God is in me. God is in you. And so I shifted from Roman Catholic to more spiritual. And I would say I'm more Buddhist and Hindu than I am Catholic, because, the Hindus bow and they say namaste. What are they saying? The God in me honors the God in you. When I shifted from God is out there, I'm a lowly sinner, to God is in me, God is in you, that was a huge uplift for my mental health. And then I received a whole bunch of other teachings and tools that I got that allowed me to come back, quickly, naturally. And it was a freaking miracle. And now I have a beautiful team that facilitate this work. But yeah, all of our voices are necessary. All of our magic is necessary.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I wanted to throw that in.
And it's interesting to me as the host, and I felt like I was bridging the topics, but at the same time, there wasn't really like much to bridge because it was like one story after the other. We're all interconnected. We're all talking about like there's
Yeah.
this one general topic, right? Mental health in the digital age, which is quite honestly pretty vague. It can be about anything. It can be about however spin that you have with that topic. But somehow all of the stories were just super interconnected and something that I guess most of us, if not all, really needed to hear at this point in time. And that said, I think that also sparked one question here. Tamara asks, if there was a time machine and you travel back pre-digital world, would there be one thing you would tell yourself to prep for?
Mm.
Let's bring that back up. Would
I would
anyone want to
I
start?
would say
Okay,
the
you got
power,
it.
learning the power. If it's a time you could travel back, what would be one? I mean, would be the one thing you would tell yourself to prep for? I would prep for the impact, but then also I would prep for the people who are, I call them trolls, um, uh, that never
Right.
have anything good to say, and that when people see that they shouldn't take that personal,
Mm-hmm.
because that's
Right.
their opinion. When you believe in you, when you understand God is in you and you believe in you, then you'll be like, that person's just talking to talk. I'll pray for them, but to prepare people mentally, not to let other people's words steal their confidence and mess with their
Mm-hmm.
mental health.
Mm.
Yeah, I think I would echo
Beautiful.
off that with Coach Craig and say I would have really prepared myself in the same way with also the way of comparison. A pre-digital world, we did not have as much in our faces and as much, comments and people and everything to watch and scroll. And it's really easy now to get down on yourself. It's easy to feel like you're not doing enough, you're not enough. And all of that is just lies. And it's just because of everything we see. And so being able to prepare myself back then to be like, these comparisons are just a way to steal my joy. It's not actually, true. Everyone has a different journey. Everyone has a different path, and God knows each of our paths. And so if we understand that, as Craig said, God is within us and dwells within us, then we understand we each have a timeline, we each have a path, and one of my favorite scriptures that anchored me coming back from all of what I went through is Jeremiah 29:11, which says, I declare from the Lord that I know the plans I have for you, and they are to prosper you and not to harm you and give you peace and hope and a future, and so if we know that, like, God is good and that's what God wants for us, then we know that it doesn't matter what we're going through in our journeys, because it's all meant to shape us. It's not meant to break us. It's meant to shape us. And so we can walk it out, like Elvira said, to walk out and show others that, yes, I was in the darkness. Yes, I had a dark night of the soul. Yes, I was in places that were very hard, but here I am now, rebuilt with God, moving forward and teaching others how to come back to Christ within. I also walked away from religion, but for me, it is a Christ-centered relationship. God really taught me, Jesus, God, and the Holy Spirit being indwelled within the Holy Trinity within me, that is the relationship that he wants each of us to have. And that is to know that it is not about religion. Religion is truly from man. It is about the Spirit in us that dwells within us, that allows us to walk this out, allows us to become a new creation in him and receive that breath. And that's why I speak about God's breath, because as we breathe into our weary minds and into those shadows and into those wounds and into those places, we can be restored into what we thought was fallen and be revived. And we can take what was fractured and actually stand back up and say, here I am. And now I'm going to show you the light as well, and lead you and guide you in what I have learned and what I have taken from my healing. And remember, your mess is actually a message. And don't let things compare, and don't let things steal your joy. Your mess is your message. And one day you will look back and say, wow, I get to teach others now because I've walked out of my mess. So don't ever feel like you're too big of a mess, because God can take any mess and make a message.
Amen to that, sister. I love this idea of kintsugi. I think it's pronounced kintsugi. It's a Japanese art of taking like broken bowl, putting
Yep.
it back
Mhm.
together with gold, right?
Gold,
It's even
yeah.
prettier than it was before because of that gold. So I truly believe that, like you said, we can take our mess, make it our message. And those of us that have been to the darkest places, this is what I truly believe, and I tell this to my team and my audiences. Those of us and my clients, those of us that have been to the darkest dark are here to bring humanity to the brightest light, because we have been to the dark places and we have the street cred that can help others, right? Who's the only person that can help someone in AA? A former alcoholic. I've been where you are. I'm here now. I'm using AA as my way. But there's lots of ways of getting there, by the way. My team have some, by fun, interesting fact. But anybody who's been there knows how to get here and can help someone else, right? And not every modality is right for everybody, but your job is to just stay on the path. So to answer the question, what would you have done in the pre-digital world? Well, I would have been doing my inner work. I would have been learning how
Mm.
love my vibe and be a miracle magnet, because when you're a miracle magnet, that's a state of mind, and you attract the good stuff, right? And the crappy stuff still happens, but you have a way of living up here. Primarily you process and then you get back into your zone. And this is what I teach, what I preach, what I coach to, what my team facilitate globally. And it really, really works, and it's not just one way. You've got to find the way that works for you. We're all snowflakes, right? And so this is, yeah, I could talk about this forever, but Anna hasn't spoken at all. I'd love to hear her thoughts.
Well, I'm loving it's like there's a very beautiful variety of answers here, but they also are very complementary. And I think for me, what I would look at if I had a time machine and it was pre-digital world, I would warn myself and prepare for the abruptness of information. And what I mean by that is, traditionally, before we had what I'll call the assault on our senses, and I don't want to sound like I don't love digital. I love it. I love the access to information. But when you're not ready for it, and what we had traditionally was we relied on the authority figures around us. We had
Right.
systems, and we had a space in the world where we existed, and that was our bubble. And we are, as group beings, as animals, we believe our pack. It's called tribal trust. And what I don't think some people are even now prepared for is when they are met with information that disrupts their tribal trust, and it actually goes into the root of who they believe themselves to be. It can be very disruptive, because if I can't trust the people who raised me, if I can't trust the information I was given, well, then maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's something wrong with who I am and what I believe in. And it confuses and it jumbles and it creates this mental distress that we're not even aware that we have.
Mhm.
And I think people struggle with that now, like at a big level, even though they've been raised in a digital era. So I think one thing I would do is I would say, okay, information is simply that. It is information. And do I need to, if something comes at me that I don't necessarily understand, if it's different from what I understand, does that make it dangerous? Does that mean that I have to dismiss it? Does that mean I have to react to it? No, it doesn't. It means I would learn and I would practice and share with everybody around me methods to engage with information that I may not agree with in ways that are healthy, in ways that are curious, and in ways that might be able to elevate both myself and the world around me, not because I choose to take on those beliefs, but because I'm not fighting all the time against everyone and creating a war that doesn't need to exist.
That was absolutely wonderful, everyone. And I agree with Coach Anna that they're very different answers, but at the same time, they're all very complementary. And we all learned a lot from not only your answers at this point in time, but also your respective talks. And I also want to have a quick, I want to thank Frankie also, who's actually at the backstage. I think we can't bring him in due to some technical issues. But Frankie, thank you so much. If you have other thoughts that you'd like to share, please also just share it in the chat. And I think so far, okay, we have Tamara coming in, loving your answers. She was the one who asked that question. Really interesting question, though. Um, Having a time machine and how do we prepare, right, for this? Because, like, I think this everything that happened after like 2020 is something that no one could have been ever prepared for. I mean, we know that technology is evolving. We know that it's a given, but how fast everything happened is I think no one really expected that. So if there was one way for us to hopefully be able to prepare for that, then that would be good, but I guess we just have to deal with the cards that we're dealt with and just try our best to like face it in the best way we know how. And that's why we'll also have talks like this, mental health in the digital age. We just keep on learning from our own experiences, learning from the people around us, learning from just the stories that we hear on a day to day. So once again, to all our dear speakers and of course to our viewers, thank you so much for your time today. And what an incredible and truly heartwarming, heart opening journey that we have all shared together. Like, I feel like we're all just also participants in this own talk. Like, we're also speakers. I am a host. You guys are the speakers, but also all of us are just simultaneously learning from one another. And those who are sharing their own comments, their own stories, the viewers were also learning from them. So it was such a beautiful, beautiful experience made possible by technology, made possible in this digital age. And to each of our remarkable speakers, to you all, Coach Craig, Alexi, who isn't with uh here with us today. I mean, not anymore at this point in time. Elvira, Frankie, Anna, Ali, and Ilona, who actually just sent in her video as well. Thank you for your wisdom, your stories, definitely your vulnerability to share those stories that you have, those personal stories that you've shared with us, and of course, the light that you brought to this talk. Each of you has touched us in different and yet powerful ways. So as we mentioned earlier, we have our journals, we've been taking notes on the sides. And thank you for reminding us that our humanity, our connection, and our mental well-being must always come first. You know, despite the technological enhancements, the fast-paced world that we have now, humanity, connection, body, mind, soul definitely would still have to come first. And of course, to our audience, our beautiful global family, thank you for your presence, your engagement, and your open hearts. Whether you join from your homes, your workplaces, I think for some time zones, we started pretty early, like as early as 6 a.m. So the moment they open their eyes, and as much as they want to unplug for a bit, no, they want to listen to this talk. So thank you so much for your time and effort as well from all over the world. Some are on later time zones. Thank you so much for making this experience richer simply by being here and engaging with us. So, Global Speakers Talk was built on the belief that every voice matters. And today, once again, you all have proven that. This community grows because of your support, your energy, and your willingness to learn, heal, and uplift one another. As we close this third day of this year's annual International Life Conference session, I invite you all, not only our viewers, our listeners, and of course our fellow speakers and myself as well, to carry with us the insights that we all gained today. Let them guide you towards healthier boundaries, deeper connections, and more mindful relationships within the digital world. If today's session inspired you, if it sparked something inside you, or if you feel called to become more involved with this movement and to also share the stage, share your stories with us, then please don't hesitate to just reach out. Global Speakers Talk, created wonderfully, of course, by the ever inspiring Anshu Tiwari, is a safe space, a mission, and a global heartbeat that continues to thrive and survive because of people like you. Thank you once again for showing up for yourself, for each other, and of course, for this beautiful community. Until our next gathering, take care of your mind, your spirit, and your overall wellness. Stay safe, stay inspired, and remember, your voice matters. Once again, this is Pau, now signing off with love and gratitude and so much learnings and new notes on my journal. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. And thank you once again to our speakers and our audience.
Thank you,
Bye.
Pal.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you,
Bye.
Pau.
Bye.
Together we are global speakers talk.